The black dragon armor shirt girl showed a cruel smile. As if she already saw the claw tear apart Su Xing, her razor-like 5 fingers glinting. Who would have thought would raise a single fist, sending an intense impetus? Those 5 claws grabbed Su Xing's fist, but no scene of it being ground to dust appeared. Su Xing lowered his waist, raised his fist, gathered his strength, and boom. The young girl revealed a trace of astonishment. She did not anticipate that Su Xing's boxing would be this powerful, unexpectedly slightly retreating when her arm went numb. This little bit of a retreat gave Su Xing his chance. He spared no effort and rose, one foot stepping on the girl's shoulder, using her as an anchor. His star energy took in the blue wave's heavenly clear damask, and he also urgently did not let go of the heavenly spirit chest afterwards. Currently, the forward star Tong Hua's crimson star enveloped the holy lord of draconic demon, rendering him incapable of movement. He could only stare blankly as Su Xing stole his spoils of war. Courting death. As if the girl was humiliated, she was completely red in the face from anger. She wildly turned around, her long hair demonically fluttering, her 5 claws releasing a terrible noise. The twinkling of the 2 shining stars seemingly was like an eye of hell, brimming with a terrifying feeling. This claw went over, and Su Xing absolutely would die, without doubt. Just at this moment, a maid's figure flew out, making a circle with the yin-yang on her hands combined, blocking in front of Su Xing. One of her 2 fists was still while the other moved. Time seemingly followed Yanqing's movements, and although the yin-yang Pisces fists were only 1 star, how could the heavenly star's 1 star be inferior to the counterpart's 2 star? In the instant her fists parted and came together, streams of air carried everything away. Boom! The girl's face changed, violently spitting a mouthful of blood. She had been beat back by a punch. Yan Yizhen did not stop in the slightest. Do not see her as a person who tried her hardest to not offend anyone, but as someone who was absolutely devoted. For injuring her young master, she would not let anyone go. The skillful star's figure flit by, her 2 fists crushing the other. It really was air swallowing the mountains and rivers, the 5 sacred mountains pressuring from above. It was just that the people present were far from being limited to that girl alone. Several water swords soared the seas and shot over, emerging from the ocean just like dragons, attacking Yanqing. Yan Yizhen could only stop and then smash the dragon with a fist. The gloomy girl found an opportunity and wanted to get there in 1 step. An evil wind whistled on the demonic claw, with bursts of ghostly bawling. The 5 claws in an instant became infernal malicious spirits, a black density that diffused. The girl coldly shouted, her demonic claws stretching out. From the countless demons forming a black claw, they immediately rushed out and grabbed Yan Yizhen. The talon tips were sharp, the unblockable black chi wishing to swallow Yan Yizhen's energy clean. Yellow rank style, purgatory soul fragmenting claw. To boom! A purple-colored thunder light exploded with a bang. Mingyo, 3, come back! From her ear she heard a woman's shout. The pupils of the black-haired Ming'er filled with hatred, but she nevertheless did not dare stay. Hastily leaving the attack area, by lucky coincidence, at this moment, a figure appeared at the place where she stood. Su Xing thought, what a pity, waved his hand and blocked with the earth shield. A water dragon slammed onto the earth shield. The mighty power shook Su Xing enough that he nearly spat blood. Literally? Su Xing anxiously looked over Yan Yizhen. Yan Yizhen shook her head. Luckily, her star energy dispersed the black ghost chi on her body, but her complexion was slightly wan. Surprisingly, it was the yellow rank style utilized by a 2-star destined weapon. Its power was not that simple. 5 chief demons' infernal devil claws. Correct star demon king of chaos Fan Rui. Su Xing lowered his voice, again shooting a glance at the girl standing to the side on the sea as if she was treading on stable land. Her good looks were alluring, yet her expression showed an abnormal grandeur. She was truly terrifying, especially that white night dragon carving lance. The star magic it used simply made people feel frightened. Longevity star river dragon Li Jun. He actually is a holy lord of draconic demon, and not just in name only. A river dragon and a demon king of chaos. Truly somewhat of a thorny problem. At present, he only had Yen Yizhen at his side, and the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon before him had a cultivation that was not only super high, the secret arts and cultivation methods he had were also extremely superior. The current him simply did not have even a bit of a chance at success. Things were completely terrible. 6. Yin Yang Pisces Fist's skillful star wanderer Yen Qing, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon, revealed a trace of astonishment when he saw that indifferent maid. He was immediately ecstatic. Ha ha! This Holy Lord indeed is lucky, unexpectedly encountering Yen Qing's Star Master. Legend has it that this skillful star is accomplished and well-educated, proficient in all manners of verse, song and poetic essay. To be her master, it cannot be possible without dipping yourself in ink. Seeing as how your cultivation is merely so, you are quite capable? The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon already sized Su Xing up with an expression of looking at spoils of war, completely not putting this nebula late-stage Star Master in his eyes. And how was the skillful star? The river dragon was sufficient to sort her out. Su Xing also knew things were grave. The river dragon Li Jun was an overlord on the seas, and she was a powerful star general that cultivated both martial arts and magic, especially when they were on the sea that the river dragon flipped over. Forget that it was Yen Qing, perhaps not any of the heavenly stars were an opponent. Furthermore, her master's cultivation was unexpectedly this terrifying at galaxy middle stage. Young master, allow Ming'er to dismember him to 10,000 pieces. The Demon King of Chaos Fan Ming had been baffled by Su Xing's fist just now, and her expression was extremely ugly. That 5 chief demons' infernal devil claws demonic spirits lingered, beginning to become restless. One who has contracted 2 star generals. I've actually finally seen it. Su Xing said. No need to envy this Holy Lord. This round of star duels naturally is something in this Holy Lord's bag. The kind of supporting characters such as yourselves should obediently wash clean your necks. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demons was egotistical without doubt, gesturing with his hand. The river dragon Li Xiangfei suddenly held up her white night dragon carving lance. The lance broke the water's surface, then executed a star magic. The seawater was like 10,000 stampeding horses. The waves were several zhang tall, frantically rolling over. Master, careful. Yen Yizhen's figure dropped like a swallow, agilely sweeping past. Her figure suddenly flashed, then pierced through the seawater and instantly arrived right in front of Li Xiangfei. Her 2 warm and cold fists moved about, the shadow of her fists dazzling. It was that swallow flash samsara. The river dragon blocked with her lance, and the seawater then condensed onto her skin to act as a shield. The world's highest excellence is like water, and the remaining power of every one of Yen Qing's punches was absorbed by the seawater. The maid's figure wandered about Li Xiangfei's whole body at high speed, her shadows appearing alternately. Ming'er, that Yen Qing is not easy to face. Go help Xiangfei. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon coldly said. The Demon King of Chaos Fan Ming indignantly glanced at Su Xing, and then went to Li Jun to provide assistance. Although the longevity star's rank was above Yen Qing's and her magic energy on the seas had no equal, in true close-quarters martial strength, especially boxing with the skillful star before her, even she knew this was grim. Besides that, Li Jun's star weapon was only 1 star, so it was very difficult for her to occupy the advantage in close quarters against Yen Qing. Yen Qing, watch this great ants? 7, Fan Ming shouted, the 5 chief demons' infernal devil claws tearing. Yen Qing engaged 2 star generals in combat at the same time. Su Xing nevertheless had no way to back her up, as a single biggest trouble was in front of him. Being able to see this Holy Lord who possesses 2 star generals before your death, you should be satisfied. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon hooked his lips into a crooked smile. 2 star generals already makes you this pleased with yourself? Su Xing chuckled. The imposing air he exuded was actually insufficient to make Su Xing feel afraid. If he knew Su Xing had 5, it was unknown what expression he would have. What? You think that by relying on Yen Qing, you can defeat 2 star generals? The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon laughed loudly. He narrowed his eyes. Can that arm of yours really be used? Su Xing shivered. This Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's vision was sinister. Just now, although one fist was able to occupy the winning position in handling the Demon King of Chaos Fan Dui just now, this Fan Rue's 2-star destined weapon added to her master being Galaxy Middle Stage indeed made Su Xing suffer. That punch disintegrated his own bones. Won't you know if you try it? Pretentious. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon did not see the panic and dread that appeared on Su Xing presently, though extremely angry, he smiled. He coldly spat out these 4 syllables, a cold light in his eyes. But just at the instant the last syllable left his mouth, he suddenly spouted out a black light. After blurting out this black light, it exploded with nothing left in an instant. Soon after, Russell, disappearing without a trace. Seeing this scene, a grave look flashed across Su Xing's face. Without thinking, he opened his mouth and simultaneously spat out more than a dozen rock-piercing water droplets. The rock-piercing water droplets that passed through the purple cheese nurturing were far more powerful than the drops of the Heavenly River Sword School. The more than dozen rock-piercing water droplets lazily flashed, scattering. The next moment, the black light suddenly appeared right in front of Su Xing, even-handedly meeting the rock-piercing water droplets, releasing an oppressive noise. Su Xing's expression slightly changed, for the several dozen rock-piercing water droplets unexpectedly were unable to match the black light the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon spat out. The power of the collision immediately sent Su Xing flying several zhang away. This Galaxy Middle Stage's cultivation was not like the average cultivators, as expected. Only at this time did Su Xing clearly see that the black light was a several zhang-sized peculiar pointed cone. Its entire body was a solemn black, glittering like frost and snow, talisman script twisting. It even released a monstrous crackling sound. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon also was stunned. He did not expect his own galaxy high-grade artifact, Lethal All 8, to surprisingly be unable to obtain a result in battle. He had originally believed this abruptness was sufficient to strike through his opponent. Afterwards, what remained was to slaughter him, enjoying that despairing expression begging for forgiveness. Su Xing's abilities exceeded his expectations. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's face went cold, and he controlled the all to continue its attack. Su Xing did not think much as he linked his 10 fingers together. 10 purple thunderlights like sharp claws simultaneously shot off his hands, and a purple thunder dragon capture, 9, grabbed hold of the black light, tightly wrapping the all. The blooming water divine thunder was a 5 elements astonishing thunder, and it had been refined by this type of rare cultivation method, the purple transforming chi. Its might was unlike the ordinary, and the purple thunder light tightly grasped the lethal all, not letting it have any room to move. Su Xing did not dare attempt to let this type of terrifying high-speed thing get away. The purple thunder's ferocious stored strength struck, and Su Xing then joined his hands together. The surging purple thunder transformed into an immense python that bit down on the lethal all. Immediately afterwards, Su Xing raised the Nebula Magic Weapon Heaven Sword. The purple python wrapped around this magic weapon, and making a continuous hissing noise, it hacked at the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon. The space seemingly was ripped apart, the pressure it gave off enough to make people's complexions change. He did not expect his own attack would not have an effect against the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon. He only showed a trace of a surprised expression. Nebula Magic Weapon? Somewhat advantageous. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was secretly startled, but he also was a person who went through many aspects of the world. Although the Mad Thunder Purple Python added to this magic weapon of Su Xing's was able to terrify people, he nevertheless calmly joined his hands. This banner was approximately 3 to 4 inches long. A black light twinkled, its spiritual influence menacing. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon shook the banner, and countless black clouds and mist all at once gushed out, surrounding the attacking purple thunder python. The powerful purple thunder unexpectedly was seemingly digested by this black cloud. In addition, the Nebula Magic Weapon struggled with all its might under the black cloud, its chopping seemingly like it had fallen into a swamp, continuously struggling. Not good. Su Xing's divine intent was jolted, and he hastily wanted to recall the heaven sword. But that black cloud was increasingly large, and in the blink of an eye, the heaven sword was completely submerged. Star cultivators and their own artifacts possessed a divine intent link control. If the artifact suffered damage, the star cultivator also would exhibit injuries. A piercing pain, disgusting, and an ice-cold feeling in his limbs attacked his whole body. Su Xing then knew that the nebula magic weapon Heaven Sword unexpectedly was unable to be maintained. Taste the might of this Holy Lord's corrupting spirit banner. 10. Watch how this Holy Lord torments you to death. The defense of the highest good is like water exhibited a crumbling momentum under Yan Qing's swift and fierce boxing. Those pupils of the river dragon Li Xiangfei that were like deep waters at last showed a trace of surprise. Yan Qing's offensive that was this violent had rather greatly exceeded her expectations. In the midst of that boxing, fast as a torrential rain, lifting astral winds, each was caused a jolt. If it was not for the river dragon's body being on the sea, the star magic water's defenses being superb there, then it was hard to say what would happen if she were to step off from there. The pinwheel-like attack continuously hit upon the water screen surrounding Li Xiangfei's body. The immense power gave rise to a twisted posture, releasing an ear-piercing hua-huang noise. Yan Qing knew the frightening aspects of the Star Master in front of her, also doing all she could to dispatch the opposing Star General in the opening moments to ease the pressure on Su Xing. Under this sort of serial strikes, the river dragon Li Xiangfei maintained the indifference on her face as before. Her defenses had also surpassed Yan Yizhen's imagination. Although she could still rely on the star magic to partially resist the assault, she nevertheless completely lost the opportunity to counterattack. Being battered in unbroken succession, the surrounding ocean exploded into layers and layers of waves under Yan Yizhen's boxing, the attacks not halting in the slightest. What Yan Yizhen waited for was an opportunity. To the skillful star's continuous strikes amidst wrestling that was brought to the pinnacle of perfection, she truly was like a fish back in water at this moment. The attacks that her hands and feet released were like rain. The repeated care on Li Xiangfei's body then tore apart her water screen defense. The woman's expression already began to grow grim. Her eyes then revealed a dignified brilliance, and her entire body tightly curled up. The white night dragon carving lance continuously fluttered, taking in seawater to resist the attack. Her entire body threw up a deep blue light, no longer considering the possibility of a counterattack. She could only hope to defend until that moment Yan Yizhen was powerless. Her complexion was still flat while Yan Yizhen's assault continued to be uninterrupted, when she coldly chuckled very softly. Her figure once again flit by in the air, already arriving above her. Through the force of her rotation, from above to below, she planted the splits ruthlessly against her back. Bang! A massive noise was released. The terrifying power was briefly like a tide as it engulfed everything. Li Xiangfei grunted, and her body floated. In an instant, she unexpectedly recoiled backwards several zhang. As if her figure was completely outside the influence of time and space, she showed a strange presence. Yan Qing's fist merely struck empty space futilely, and afterwards, the woman stabbed the white dragon carving lance into the ocean. Won the sea surface, she used an instant escape technique, breaking away from Yan Yizhen's pressure. Yan Yizhen wanted to pursue and attack, but at this moment, Fan Ming came attacking. Yan Qing watched this great ance. The demon king of chaos Fan Ming angrily shouted. The 5 chief demons' infernal devil claws instantly attacking. She already arrived in front of Yan Yizhen, and leaning her body, the sharp claws attacked with all their might. The 5 chief demons' infernal devil claws bound starving demon spirits. A black wind twisted with the sound of ghostly howls entering the ear. A sharp hissing that ripped the atmosphere made people unable to help but cover the airs. The correct star demon king of chaos Fan Rui also was similarly a martial magic dual cultivating star general. One claw went down, and a dark wind broke a whistle, a star magic attack. Yan Yizhen's arms blocked, and there was the sound of flesh tearing. A wound deep enough to show bone was slashed down from her shoulder. The Demon King of Chaos Fan Ming's claw made Yan Yizhen sustain injury. Her vermilion pupils went cold, and Yan Yizhen's footwork moved as if she swept dead leaves, heavily kicking away the close Fan Ming. Bang! The air suddenly transmitted an enormous noise. The ranked 26th longevity star river dragon's high speed instantly advanced to the limit. Her entire figure brought about a mirage. She simply was unable to be seen clearly, and unexpectedly, she was 10,000 techniques realm. When she found out the White Knight Dragon Carving Lance could not pose too great a danger to Yan Yizhen, Li Xiangfei instantly transformed the White Knight Dragon Carving Lance into the White Knight Dragon Carving Sword. Raising the sword and slashing, this was exactly the prelude to the river dragon's martial force attack. The sound of a whistling wind pervaded the sky, as if it even wanted to tear open space. Yan Yizhen was grim. She crossed her fists as if holding a taiji. The girl was very clear of the terrors of the river dragon. The sea dragon overflowed the heavens, becoming a helping hand to the river dragon. Its speed was very swift, and this sword slashed upon Yan Yizhen's fists. The yin-yang Pisces resisted for a moment and were then torn apart. After all, her master was already cultivating galaxy middle stage, so the star energy she had also was far more powerful than the skillful stars. Yan Yizhen was instantly struck broken. The ocean exploded with a tremendous sound. Yan Yizhen's entire person was already struck by an immense power, and that power was so great that the maid completely was incapable of withstanding it. Even the groans the bones in her whole body released could be heard. Her entire person already had been shot out far away like a cannonball. Mingge, you go help young master. This Fei alone can handle Yan Qing. The river dragon yelled. The heavenly stars all had their own pride, and this was even the location Li Jun liked the most. This pride and confidence did not want to have a second person interfering. The Demon King of Chaos Fan Ming nodded. That pair of cold vermilion eyes of Yan Yizhen's suddenly flashed a chilling light. As the girl flew upside down, she abruptly lifted herself, dodging away from Li Jun's lifting sea dragon. Her figure seemed to blink, stopping the Demon King of Chaos Fan Ming. Yan Yizhen was very clear that if she let her and that holy lord of draconic demon pincer attack Su Xing definitely would have no chance. Don't think that you can harm master. Yan Yizhen fiercely shouted suddenly, a palm smashing Fan Ming's black dragon armor to pieces, her right palm's flames seemingly carved onto the girl's body. The power was like a madly rushing river, instantly shaking the palms several hundred times. Fan Ming's black dragon armor suddenly depressed with a deep palm-shaped bloody hole. Her thigh's blood sprayed out from that hole as if there was no tomorrow. 2. The fresh red mist of blood instantly covered the sky, seemingly raining a slight drizzle. You are courting death. The Demon King of Chaos shrieked. Star energy protected her body, and the 5 chief demons' infernal devil claws simultaneously grabbed at Yan Yizhen. The hurricane-like 5 claws black light, just like an immense beast biting down, also tore open 5 deep gashes on Yan Yizhen that showed bone, spraying blood. The 2-star heavenly weapon claws were terrifying, the acute pain nearly making Yan Yizhen pass out. The maid resolutely restrained that painful feeling. This move of the Demon King of Chaos was extremely powerful, and that type of frightening purgatory-like energy violently came pouring into her body. It wantonly destroyed her body, nerves, and internal organs. It looked as if this wound was not large, but it nevertheless was very painful. It made Yan Yizhen's brow tightly wrinkle, her teeth drawing blood. And the reason why she did not scream out was that she merely wanted the fatal moment where she used the other cold palm at the same time, her palm scraping past empty space. A frigid intent swept over Fan Ming's skin, and this palm's cold went through her whole body and 4 limbs. Fan Ming suddenly felt her entire body turn ice cold, a flame and chill mutually alternating, colliding inside her body. Her internal organs seemed to be roasting yet also freezing. This cold and hot directly broke Fan Ming's star energy, also making the girl vomit a mouthful of blood, screaming as she fell over. Little sister Ming, Yan Qing, don't think you can be impudent in front of this Fei. The river dragon shouted, slashing with her sword. Unaware of when it stopped, The sea breeze at this moment suddenly was like a demon released from its cage. Roaring open teeth bit at Yan Yizhen. Taking advantage of the dissipated sea winds, Li Xiangfei hastily joined her empty hands, the sea waters then held up by Fan Ming. The girl had difficulty enduring the pain, her face ice cold for an instant, then flaming hot, as if in a struggle. Yellow rank boxing. Yin Yang Palm. Li Xiangfei's expression sank. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demons saw and immediately imparted star energy. Only this made Fan Ming be much more at ease. After the sea wind retreated, Yan Yizhen's maid skirt was utterly torn, her whole body's flesh bruised and battered, her corolla in pieces, covered in blood. However, that indifferent expression still as before was proud without falling, making people stunned. What a loyal and righteous Yan Qing of heaven and earth! The river dragon shivered. Yan Yizhen went all out to hold back 2 star generals while keeping Su Xing in her sight. In a star duel between star masters, anyone with even a bit of brain knew that the best solution was to kill the star general's contractor. With this, stronger star generals would also lose much of their vitality. This was also somewhat of a reason that very prideful star generals refused to sign contracts. To them, a contractor was a dangerous double-edged sword. In the star duels, killing the contractor was practically the mainstream view. Su Xing understood this point, as did the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon possessed 2 incredible star generals. If he and Yan Yizhen contended for a long time, they in the end would necessarily suffer disaster. So ever since the beginning, Su Xing wanted to get rid of the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon. And how could the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon not also think like this? The lethal all at the start not taking Su Xing's life already made him very surprised, and he also did not dare to underestimate that purple blooming water divine thunder. Then he brought out the powerful Galaxy Supreme Grade artifact Corrupting Spirit Banner. Seeing the Heaven Sword in imminent danger before his eyes, Su Xing's left shoulder shook along, the Earth Shield set in front of him, releasing a splashing silver light. The silver light was like a cold star, and the black clouds dueled with the silver light. These 2 ancient lost treasure originally were one in body, and with this, the Heaven Sword inside the filthy cloud immediately erupted in silver light, wildly tearing it open. The black clouds were cut open with a hiss. When the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon saw this, he immediately pinched his fingers into a seal, gathering his star energy and making the black clouds surge once again. The Heaven Sword and Earth Shield dueled against the Corrupting Spirit Banner. The originally prideful Holy Lord of Draconic Demons' smile gradually disappeared. He was amazed to discover the only Nebula late-stage cultivator fighting with his all in front of him unexpectedly did not lose out to him. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon originally thought he could very easily subdue these 2 magic treasures. Su Xing also strenuously supported himself. He had only just finished refining the clinging fire domain sword not long ago, and his abundant star energy was far from its peak. He slowly felt difficulty, as this Holy Lord of Draconic Demon that contracted 2 star generals was powerful as expected. The filthy black cloud and the silver light chopped at each other. The 2 simultaneously jolted, vomiting blood. Bang! An explosion. The black cloud suddenly disintegrated, and the Corrupting Spirit Banner ripped apart with a clatter. It was unexpectedly destroyed. Ah, this Holy Lord's Corrupting Spirit Banner. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon yelled. Su Xing resisted with great difficulty the blood bubbling in his throat. Nevertheless, though he did not intend to destroy his opponent's artifact, he was still happy. His own nebula magic weapons were also cut down by the Corrupting Spirit Banner. The spiritual power on the sword was completely gone, its light dim, just like it was destroyed. Apparently, the skill of you who could contract the skillful star is not small. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon showed an evil grin. He did not anticipate by far that this mere nebula late-stage star master could surprisingly destroy his supreme grade artifact. Although he had also destroyed one of the opponent's nebula magic weapons, in the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's eyes, this simply was not worth mention. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was also aware of Su Xing's plan. Now, between the 2 star masters, This had seemingly become the pivotal point. However, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was far unlike that task of confronting a great enemy like Su Xing was. His expression grim. Su Xing was but the skillful star's contractor, nothing more. Regarding his cultivation that fell short of his own, his star energy that fell short of his own, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon also believed that his own artifacts and abilities far surpassed his opponents. Besides, for him to lose when he had 2-star generals was an utter joke. In the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's eyes, Su Xing was merely struggling on his deathbed. However, he had the purple star-grade Liangshan outlaw token on him, which was a headache of an escape tool. Thus, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon also waited for an opportunity to act. Watch this Holy Lord seize your flesh as a sacrifice. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon sneered. Flinging his sleeves, 19 black flying swords instantly violently rushed forth. These swords were pitch black like ink, without the slightest blemish. The recessed sword inscriptions on the swords were deep, darker than even darkness. These swords endlessly wailed when they appeared, like devils and fiends baring their fangs. Life cast sword chant. Su Xing squeezed his hands into a seal. The life cast sword chant was a star cultivator's most powerful ability, its power comparable to a magic weapon. At that time in the void Liangshan, Su Xing thoroughly comprehended the might of Zhao Hanyan's 72 outer void flying immortal sword. At that time, the girl had not yet used a sword array on him and already made him somewhat flustered that he did not block it, and the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's sword chant seemed to be even more terrifying. The sword's body leaked a meandering black light, superimposing specters, the ghost Qi sinister. Do you still have the skill to block this Holy Lord's 9 phantasms 10 banes capital demon sword? The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon disdainfully said, his expression already sentencing Su Xing to death. His 2 hands quickly flew through hand seals. Star energy excited upon the sword, and the 19 black flying swords instantly swayed briefly. Each turned into 76 black shadows, covering the sky and earth as they madly rushed at Su Xing. Within the forbid dance of the underworld prison banner, Su Xing currently was in the so-called no door to heaven and no road to hell. Su Xing promptly raised the earth shield, and this nebula magic weapon faced the wind and swelled. Silver light glimmered and surrounded Su Xing within. Su Xing did not dare to be the slightest bit careless, promptly using the purple star transforming Qi and blooming water divine thunder. The purple star Qi spilling from his whole body formed a purple cloud that rolled over and covered his entire body. The thunderlight sparkled, forming 3 layers of defense. Hiss, hiss, the sword sounds entered his ear. The 19 black demon swords leaned and shuffled as they shot onto the earth shield. Countless black lines violently opened on the earth shield, and the earth shield's silver light went dark in the blink of an eye. Not good. Su Xing joined his palms, using the blooming water divine thunder to the limit. A massive several zhang-sized thunderlight made the seawater crash with the sound of a thunderclap. Devour! The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's finger beckoned, and the 9 phantasms 10 banes capital demon sword specters combined into one, turning into a gigantic black sword. These demon swords of the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon were all secret treasures of the underworld heavenly sect, a supreme grade sword chant. Because they were forged from black prison devil jade, 2, and infernal devouring blood essence, 3, fed with spirits and flesh, it could be rated as a uniquely terrifying weapon. Although the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon had only practiced to the 9 phantasms, phase 99 phantasms 10 banes capital demon sword chants, it nearly could laugh in defiance of outstanding heroes. Forget about same-stage cultivators, even facing a supercluster early stage as long as it did not encounter a mutually restraining thing, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon could fight one if he relied on 2-star generals. This was also why the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was so savage. He had the means to be savage. And so this was the reason he dared to stay in the Azure Dragon territory. In the Black Turtle territory, because the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon already fed the demon swords such that people were alarmed, leaving the underworld heavenly sect with no choice but to have him come to the Azure Dragon territory. When the demon sword appeared, the nebula magic weapon Earth Shield was split open in an instant by the demon sword, and that Su Xing's heart ached. This holy lord of draconic demon was too abnormal to destroy two nebula magic weapons at this point in one day. The sword's shadows flowed out. Su Xing's 5 elements astonishing thunder might as well. His blooming water divine thunder also somewhat had attained achievements. Furthermore, it had gone through the purple star transforming chi, freezing the 9 phantasms 10 Bane's capital demon sword where it was. The purple thunderlight and the demon sword's edge shadow unceasingly wrapped in a struggle, intensely attacking each other. A purple blooming water divine thunder? This was the first time the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon looked directly at the strange thunder technique Su Xing used. That divine thunder was like water yet unlike it, showing a vast purple cloud. The lightning seemed to be a magic cloud, a purple immortal thunder? Your powers actually make this Holy Lord greatly broaden his own horizons. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's brows rose, however, only relying on such a shallow cultivation, you think that it can block this Holy Lord's demon sword. It really is a joke. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon hand's seal pinched, and the demon's sword suddenly changed. The reason why a sword chant would become a star cultivator's strongest power was only because this used the star cultivator's own life as nourishment, linking together with the star cultivator into one. The 9 phantasms 10 Bane's capital demon sword suddenly scattered, surrounding Su Xing from all directions, trapping him inside. The demon sword shadows were illusory, genuine and fake, the real ones indistinguishable from the fake one. This made Su Xing unable to help but recall the devil sealing sword, which was also this type, but incapable of killing an enemy. However, not only was the trapping ability of the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's sword high quality, the baleful aura on the sword was even more extremely eager. Just this baleful aura was already cold like bone marrow. If it was an ordinary person, they would have already been completely eaten by the demon sword. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon clicked his tongue, his expression seemingly looking upon a dead man. You have made this Holy Lord use the 9 phantasm sword array for the second time. And who was the first that made this Holy Lord use it? The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon ruminated, engrossed. However, he did not worry about this. The magic sword became even more void sword shadows that tightly enclosed Su Xing. The surrounding space also was completely cut off under the disturbance of the demon swords. In other words, Su Xing currently was a trapped animal. Su Xing did not reply, the thoughts in his mind quickly whirling as he thought of countermeasures, for the blooming water divine thunder shrunk little by little. It was the one your Azure Dragon territory claimed to be the strongest star master, Xiejin. It seems to be this name, truly a useless fellow. This Holy Lord only used it and he could not bear it. The most interesting thing was that your strongest star master surprisingly contracted quite an incompetent star general. Truly, this Holy Lord does not understand what your Azure Dragon territory's definition of strongest is, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon sneered. Master! Yan Yizhen saw that Su Xing had been trapped by the demon swords, showing worry. A water ripple struck her back, and several dozen water dragons trapped Yan Yizhen, endlessly attacking. Amidst these attacks, the river dragon Li Jun raised the white knight dragon carving sword and violently attacked as if it was a tsunami, sending out a water dragon with each cut. Worry about yourself, Yan Qing. Li Xiangfei shouted, already wanting to take revenge for her little sister. Yan Yizhen blocked with her hands. The water dragon struck her body, shattering her bones. Moreover, the 9 phantasms 10 Bane's capital demon sword's shadows already closed up tight. A twisting black space took form in Su Xing's surroundings. The space was like a deep pool with the howls of souls. Astonishingly, it was the 9 phantasms taking shape. That Xiejin Yuan actually used his strength alone to undo this Holy Lord's 9 phantasm sword array. This Holy Lord wonders whether or not you have this qualification. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon narrowed his eyes. Raising a despicable smile, he unfolded his hand. The murky sword shadows suddenly drew themselves Su Xing to devour him. And contrary to the frightening shadows of the demon sword's void shadows, If the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon could see through the sword shadows, he would discover that the Su Xing inside was unexpectedly calm, without a trace of fluster. Seemingly, everything about this did not count as anything, and on the contrary, Su Xing lifted his right arm. Suddenly, those purple thunderlights all around condensed to a single point on his arm, covering it in a layer of faint purple chi. Has he given up resisting? The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon jeered. These purple chi thunderlights fluctuated incessantly, gradually becoming dense. When it had become a deep purple magic cloud, Su Xing's face showed a serious expression. His whole right arm began to rapidly swell, and in the blink of an eye, it became 2-3 times as thick as it was before. A layer of glaring thunderlight even appeared on the surface, and under the purple cloud's envelopment, it seemed matchlessly dignified. At this time, Su Xing raised his head to stare at the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon. His eyes had a cold light, and he coldly read break. Thus, he drew back his thick arm, and then suddenly spat out a purple ray of light from his palm. After firing, it was an immense thickness several zhang large. Afterwards, a tearing sound was released. The light carried a long tail, sparkling as it flew in front of the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon. Like a sharp sword, its high speed made people incapable of responding. This was precisely the second immortal's magic of the blooming water Divine Thunder. Divine Thunder Dragon Slaying. As it turned out, the 9 Phantasms 10 Banes Capital Demon Sword had already twisted itself into a storm. Just when the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon watched with satisfaction for Su Xing's death, he suddenly found his own Demon Shadow Sword array actually was slow and unwilling to advance. Suddenly torn open by a crack, that purple thunderlight was right in front of him in the blink of an eye. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's eyes flashed a cold light. The purple thunder slashed, crashed, and his body turned into black smoke. The black smoke was cut into 2 pieces, yet the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon unexpectedly was able to dodge away. Devil smoke shapeshifting escape. Su Xing thought, fuck, this guy really is abnormal. The Divine Thunder slays the dragon just now was an extremely powerful type of attack magic from the 5 Spirits Law. He condensed star energy to a single point to effect a breakthrough, but he did not expect the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon to avoid this sudden attack. Not getting rid of the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon this moment, even being unable to cause him any injury, made Su Xing's star energy madly plummet. The black smoke again instantly reconstituted itself. The corner of the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's mouth had blood, his face deathly pale. It actually was not at all without a result as Su Xing thought. How can this be? The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon pinched together a hand seal. He found that the demon sword was simply stopped in his opponent's surroundings, as if something had scared it stiff. The sword array gradually was unable to make full use of itself. Without a better choice, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon could only put away the demon sword suspending them before him. And then he finally understood what had happened. Su Xing's hand held a stone tablet, and the tablet released a golden radiance, surrounding his whole body within. These multicolored lights were dignified, divine, and serene. At first glance, Su Xing was just like an immortal Buddha descended, which surprisingly made people feel like bowing in worship. What is that? The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon shouted, stunned. It was the devil-suppressing steel. Ever since he took care of the Ghost Cavalry King at Stone Tablet City and obtained this devil-suppressing steel and the Ghost's God's Bane, Su Xing did not forget to refine them. The Ghost's God's Bane was categorized as a ghost weapon, so Su Xing simply had no way of controlling it and could only give up. However, this devil-suppressing steel actually was a supreme-grade treasure, and Su Xing could use it. In the end, only after he had the Void Immortal's abode could he implant his divine intent, and he was already barely able to control it. The 9 Phantasms 10 Banes Capital Demon Sword that devoured so much flesh and spirits and that now saw the devil-suppressing steel was just like a rat that spotted a cat. This time, the sword chant you have the most pride in is useless, then? It seems we are once again on the same line. Su Xing coldly grinned. Forget his shivering appearance, his heart was actually secretly hurting. The magic energy on this devil-suppressing steel was rapidly draining. He had refined it only a bit, and the power stored inside was used just like this. Originally, Su Xing had wanted to take the opportunity to use it on the purple star-grade birth outline, but now it seemed that things could not be helped. The next time he wanted to show off the devil-suppressing steel's power, he would need at least several months' time of cultivating it in order for it to work. You think such can make this Holy Lord not know what to do with you? The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon sneered, bringing out an astral gemstone. Urging his star energy, countless black ants flocked out from the astral gemstone. Instantly, they became an enormous black cloud that covered the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's whole body. It was in excess of 10 zhang wide, and it seemed this influence would frighten people to the extreme. What bug was this? Su Xing's expression changed. This Holy Lord of Draconic Demon truly was abnormal. Soul-devouring bug. Su Xing saw from that mountain and sea bug record of Suan's a list of odd insects, which had an introduction for it. The soul-devouring bug and essence-swallowing dragon were similar. It was just that the specialized in eating minds and divine sense as well as handling cultivators with powerful divine intense soul-devouring bug was an extremely frightening and deadly existence. The soul-devouring bugs were close to a black cloud, where normal swords and spears would have difficulty piercing through, and common water and fire were seen as nothing. However, controlling the soul-devouring bugs certainly not an easy matter. Because they originally could devour incorporeal divine intent, cultivators used divine intent and essence blood in vain to control them. Only cultivators that necessarily possessed extremely strong demonic intents could control them. This type of demonic intent was a type of who else is there but meat despotism, a deterrent. Franticness made the soul-devouring bugs fear him. Otherwise, at an unfavorable position they would even eat the divine intent of the master they serve. Only naturally, this Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was a monster. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon inherited the demonic comprehension, 3, skill of the Demon King of Chaos. He possessed an excellent understanding of every sort of devil school cultivation method, and acted as the one the heavenly underworld sect nurtured from youth to be a star master. From when he was little, he began to cultivate devil cult's sinister and malicious 18-layer Avicii, cultivating layer by layer. An oppressive 20 years then created today's insufferably arrogant Holy Lord of Draconic Demon. This kind of tyranny would feel egotistical to others. No one was in his eyes, but to the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon, this was power. A kind of destructive power. See how you die. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon sneered. Muttering in a low voice, the black smoke suddenly rushed forth. The towering soul-devouring bug army then buzzed, afterwards becoming an immense cloud of insects, violently rolling towards Su Xing. Using bugs to scare people? Su Xing saw this very terrifying bug cloud drop from the sky. Not only was he unafraid, on the contrary, after he snorted, he showed a bit of disdain. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon heard this and was not angry, but amused. His counterpart seemed to consider the soul-devouring bugs as ordinary spirit bugs, which truly was bringing about his own doom. Presumably, when the swarm of bugs fell onto his body, that would be the time he would meet a violent death. At that time, the cultivator's divine intent would have been eaten clean, and he would be no different from a cripple. Su Xing released a bolt of blooming water divine thunder, which sprayed out but brought about no results. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was even more pleased with himself. Su Xing sneered on the inside. When the bug cloud came to cover him, he suddenly clenched his empty fist, and a scarlet sword appeared in his hand. This double-edged sword's red light was dazzling, and the flame veins on the sword were vividly displayed. In the moment it appeared, the space around Su Xing's whole body seemed to ignite, becoming incomparably red-hot. That is, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was blank. Go! Su Xing saw the cloud of bugs cover from above, just on the verge, and the flames of the astral treasure clinging fire star domain sword in his hand suddenly appeared. Then, countless earthly fire snakes erupted out from the sword's edge and veins. Shooting into the cloud of bugs converging from every direction, It was like a surging dragon rolling in the sky. Soon after, popping sounds became a layer of countless bug corpses. Amidst the droning noise, they had been burnt to ash by the flames, without leaving a bit of slag. These flames actually seemed to be like the nemesis of the soul-devouring bugs. The flying bugs originally were difficult to injure with magic weapons, and defeated by these flames, they simply had no way to resist in the slightest. Su Xing also had to thank Insuan for that mountain and sea bug record, for Su Xing knew that though the soul-devouring bugs looked terrifying, they actually had a weak point, which was that they feared clinging fire. Fortunately, the clinging fire star domain sword was exactly good in such situations. When the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon witnessed this scene, he naturally was startled and furious to the extreme. His mouth hastily released a sharp cry. The bug swarm heard it and immediately turned around to fly and escape. How could Su Xing let go of the chance to burn clean away these soul-devouring bugs? Although the clinging fire star domain sword's clinging fire was powerful, one use nearly exhausted his star energy. How would there be such a good opportunity the next time? Throwing the clinging fire star domain sword, the sword became countless threads that shot over and engulfed the bug swarm. Large quantities of the flying bugs continued to burn to ashes within the flames. Fuck your ancestors! The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon was terrified, roaring. These soul-devouring bugs were painstakingly cultivated with enormous and meticulous care. Nurturing them for more than 10 years, only with great difficulty did he have more than 50,000 to have the current scale. Burnt down like this, losing more than 10,000 soul-devouring bugs, to tell the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon to not have any grief, when he returned to the sect, perhaps there would be no good fruit to eat. The river dragon Li Jun heard her master scream. Raising her head, she then saw the raging flames burning the sky. Immediately, she knew what had occurred and pointed the white knight dragon carving sword without the slightest hesitation. Between the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon and Su Xing, the sea's surface sprayed 100-meter tsunami. This tsunami's grandeur was extremely fierce, and although the clinging fire was ferocious, the river dragon's star magic was not easy to underestimate. She wanted to fight for time for her master to call back the soul-devouring bugs. Hey! Yan Yizhen saw this and did not hesitate to attack with a fist. Although she was already scarred all over, this fist went down with ample imposing air. But this place was the Bo Sea, the longevity star river dragon's domain. The fierce dragon had not passed the river, and the hungry tiger had not descended the mountain. Star magic activated, and several seawater dragon shapes then pounced at Yan Yizhen. However, this was a star magic used under military force circumstances. The attacking sea dragon was far from being powerful enough. The maid staked all of her strength, her agile movements avoiding these star magics, arriving in front of Li Xiangfei in the blink of an eye. This was a magic energy star general's greatest weakness. They feared others getting close. But Li Xiangfei's pupils dilated. Incredibly, there was someone who could attack her on the seas, her body falling backwards 100 paces. The maid got there in one step when, Yan Qing, a shadow flashed and intercepted in front of her. The recovered demon king of chaos Fan Ming's sharp claws tore, and there was another bone-splitting wound. Blood directly splashed. Hey! Li Xiangfei seized the chance to toss her sword, and the white knight dragon carving sword became a water dragon that flashed over. The slash pierced through Yan Yizhen's chest. The maid groaned. Yan Qing. Fan Ming once again coldly shouted. The demon king of chaos 5 chief demons' infernal devil claws tore over, and the river dragon Li Xiangfei also used her star magic. With the support of a galaxy stage master's powerful star energy, Li Xiangfei could use it without stopping. Yan Yizhen flipped and sweep-kicked Fan Ming away. But in the next second, the ocean surface that Yan Yizhen stood on suddenly gave rise to a 5-zhang-wide vacuous hole. The seawater rolled towards the surroundings, completely enclosing Yan Yizhen within. The lifted tsunami transformed into 10,000 galloping horses, so imposing that it truly frightened people. Yan Qing, go die! Li Xiangfei shouted. Yellow rank magic. Iron hooves treading mountains and rivers. 5. Yan Yizhen raised her head and saw all outlets had been sealed. If this went any further, at the very least, it would make Yan Yizhen completely lose her fighting capabilities. Although the bodies of star generals were indestructible, this type of certain death technique was sufficient to make star generals handicapped for a period of time. Her vermilion pupils still treated fear with contempt. Su Xing saw this and could only give up his pursuit and kill of the soul-devouring bugs as he took out and threw a jade annulus. The profound star barrier fell above Yan Yizhen, and its warm light overflowed, covering the maid's body, stunning Yan Yizhen. Boom! The tsunami completely engulfed Yan Yizhen, yet the profound star barrier's radiance that was actually on the verge of collapse helped her escape a calamity. Su Xing followed up by using the innate bagua to escape. Flashing to Yan Yizhen's side, at this time, Fan Ming's claw attacked. Su Xing slashed with the clinging fire star domain sword, and a burst of clinging fire forced the girl back with a cut. Immediately afterwards, he held the maid in his arms and flew backwards. You bastard son of a bitch! Do you not know how much meticulous care this holy lord needed to nurture the soul-devouring bugs? The holy lord of draconic demons' face was unsightly to the extreme. Watching helplessly as Su Xing swallowed him whole, he originally thought this would be a not in the least suspenseful battle, but what he did not expect was that his counterpart unexpectedly subdued his powers repeatedly. First of all, his supreme grade galaxy artifact being broken did not need mentioning. Then, the 9 Phantasms 10 Bane's capital demon sword he had the most confidence in was rendered completely motionless by that magical stone steel. Now, it was his most prided trump card's soul-devouring bugs that not only were unable to kill him, they even sustained disastrous casualties instead. Truly too motherfucking inconceivable. To hell with it, just from where did this nebula cultivator pop out so many magic weapons? Was Xie Zhenyuan not the Azure Dragon Territory's #1 star master? This even more hardened the holy lord of draconic demons' determination to throttle Su Xing. If he was currently this frightening at nebula stage, should he master a sword chant, heaven knew what other things could be even more beyond expectations. He certainly would not think that even if it was the sword chant heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements sword that it would be sufficient to shake Liangshan. Young master! The 2 star generals showed surprised expressions for the first time. Even when they faced Xie Zhenyuan, they did not ever do this. Are you both fine? The holy lord of draconic demon asked, concerned. Li Xiangfei raised the white knight dragon carving lance as she stared at Su Xing and Yan Qing. This place was on the ocean, and the people that could injure the river dragon were few. She had only sustained light injuries, but the demon king of chaos Fan Ming was somewhat a little more serious. Still, the two were bound to still have some leeway. By contrast, the skillful star wanderer Yan Qing already was an arrow at the end of its path. Bruised all over her body, she needed to be supported by her master. This time, Fan Ming actually did not dare ridicule. 2 star generals handling 1 star general and their master that was but galaxy middle stage only taking up the high ground at this point already made them feel somewhat defeated. Kill them, do not let them go. The holy lord of draconic demons sneered, forming a hand seal. The underworld prison banner's black clouds overturned the heavens, its power slightly greater than before, all to prevent Su Xing from escaping. Having received the order their master issued, the 2 star generals each attacked Su Xing young master. Quickly leave. Yan Yizhen wanted to break away from Su Xing to meet the enemy head-on. Su Xing actually ignored her, bringing her tight against his chest, not letting her leave. You must not show off your ability right now. Quickly return to the star nest. As they spoke, the 2 women already attacked. Even if she were to return to the star nest, there was not time for this. Su Xing lifted the clinging fire star domain sword to face them. The laughable nebula late-stage cultivator surprisingly wants to confront us? Fan Ming sneered, and a claw dashed forth. Originally, she thought she could easily grab hold of Su Xing, but Su Xing's performance was surprisingly nimble. Su Xing inherited the majestic star's combat skills and was not at all that resigned to his fate as they imagined. A streak of clinging fire burned and slashed its way over. Breaking open the 2's pincer attack, Su Xing now held the devil-suppressing steel in his left hand while his right clenched the sword as a beauty was upon his chest. Fortunately, Li Jun and Fan Ming consumed too much energy engaging Yan Qing, and their present battle strength was greatly weakened. Regardless of whether it was speed, power, or body techniques, they did not show the standard a star general should have. Only with this could Su Xing barely contend against them. Otherwise, if he alone went to face 2 star generals in close combat, dying 100 times would not be enough. However, star generals, in the end, were star generals, and Su Xing was still in a disadvantageous position. The 5 chief demons' infernal devil claws and the white knight dragon carving sword repeatedly cut open wounds on his body, and before long, Su Xing's whole body already was flowing with blood. Su Xing was unconcerned as he confronted 2 star generals on one hand while considering escape options with the other. To defeat them now was nearly impossible to achieve. Yan Yizhen saw this in her eyes, and a hard-to-understand complexity flashed through her apathetic vermilion pupils. Tightly clenching her 10 fingers, a crimson crossbow emerged. "Don't forcibly use it." Su Xing softly blocked Yan Yizhen, who wanted to use the 3 arrows lethal crossbow. This type of arrow magic that relied on the vitality of a star general was a burden too great for the current Yan Yizhen, and the 3 arrows would not necessarily seize the advantage. Yan Yizhen clenched tight the crossbow without stowing it. After the ocean-flipping divine dragon passed again, Su Xing flew backwards 100 meters. At this time, his star energy finally was completely unable to bear anymore. The clinging fire star domain sword in his right hand and the devil-suppressing steel in his left gradually dimmed their lights. The bow sea was a deep black. Su Xing slightly narrowed his eyes. Right now, the sole solution was to depend on the profound star barrier to break open the underworld prison banner for Maidens, then use the chaotic tail escape to run away after sustaining a heavy injury. "Let us see how you will escape this time," the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon, the River Dragon and the Demon King of Chaos coldly stared at Su Xing. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon then raised 19 demon sword chant. Just at this time, in a sudden instant, the underworld prison banner's forbid dance space was jolted. A white light appeared on a place on the forbid dance, and immediately afterwards, the white light was increasingly blinding, as if the sky had been ripped open. The forbid dance suddenly broke, and one underworld prison banner burned down in raging flames with practically nothing left. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon's eyes saw another of his supreme-grade artifacts had been broken, extremely furious from the bottom of his heart. Just what was happening today? A star master of galaxy stage as he, with 2 contracted star generals, was unexpectedly sullen in all respects. They saw an immense white cloud appear in the sky, but perhaps it could not be called a cloud. It was a fierce beast with an entire body of fur like frost and like snow, and it hung suspended in the air without wings. A pair of almost transparent pupils gazed at everyone on the sea. On this white tiger were an additional 2 girls lying on their sides. A cold girl with long hair flowing like water was especially eye-catching. This completely unforeseen event made Su Xing and the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon were both stunned. Su Xing, by means of the broken forbid dance, then retreated. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon threw the sword chant, and the 9 phantasms 10 Bane's capital demon sword became specters that filled the sky as they twisted towards Su Xing. He did not have the defense of the devil-suppressing steel this time, so at last, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon could see his excellent sword chants gain the advantage. It was just that he was made disappointed once more. Su Xing blocked it with the profound star barrier. The white light was like a river, neutralizing the sword chant's attack. However, this 9 phantasms 10 Bane's capital demon sword was worthy of being called a supreme-grade demon sword. Continuously enduring 2 attacks, the profound star barrier split open a crack again. Just when the Holy Lord of Draconic Demons still wanted to attack, a sudden tiger's roar shook the ocean. This sound poured into their ears frighteningly, unexpectedly forcing the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon and his star generals to withdraw in succession. Overwhelmed with shock from his heart, the arrogant and despotic Holy Lord of Draconic Demon for the first time revealed astonishment. A star beast. The white and black unicorn tiger. Wu Song, Li Jun and Fan Rui each changed, as if facing a great enemy. Star Beast? Wu Song Su Xing was stunned, his hand hugging Yan Yizhen even more tightly. Oh, little sister Wu Song, your reputation truly is far-reaching. You haven't even used your star weapon, yet they already know he. A charming voice sounded out from the tiger's back. This voice was somewhat familiar. When Su Xing stared, he was immediately stunned. The young girl who spoke was surprisingly the Shower he had once met long ago. Originally, she alone was able to compel 2 star generals, which made her incomparably difficult to forget for Su Xing. He did not expect that their next meeting would occur under this sort of situation. The woman known as Wu Song coldly snorted, sweeping her gaze. Her eyes were extremely cool and elegant yet extremely charming, just like a deep starry sky. Incomparably mysterious, longevity star Li Jun, correct star Fan Rui. Wu Song slowly identified the names of the people below Yan Qing. When Wu Song saw the bruised all over Yan Qing hugged by Su Xing onto his chest, especially when she saw that crimson crossbow, the surprise in her eyes was even more concentrated. Staring at Su Xing, she brimmed with bewilderment. Su Xing wanted to greet Shower, yet when he saw Shower wink at him, Su Xing understood tacitly what to do. Master? Yan Yizhen weakly said. An acquaintance? Su Xing embraced Yan Yizhen tightly, speaking softly. Yan Yizhen felt a sort of never-before-experienced security from these wide shoulders. Softly moaning, she dissolved the crossbow. Wu Song, what are you doing? Is not the legendary Wu Song proud beyond compare? Unwilling to become involved with the star duels until the final juncture? The Holy Lord of Draconic Demons said in a cold voice. The contractor of Wu Song of the previous generation of star duels really made her fame too great. Add on that legendary star beast, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon unexpectedly felt pressured. A minute pressure. Shower chuckled. We saw from Jingyang Ridge that a heavenly spirit grade chest fell here. We wanted to come rob and kill for it, and when we saw this place covered by black clouds. Little sister Wu Song was very curious. Because a moment of curiosity broke his supreme grade artifact, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon truly wanted to blow his top. Although he was arrogant, he knew how to take stock of the situation. The top-notch Star Master of the Black Turtle Territory naturally knew eternal savagery was to confront weaklings. We did not expect a star duel. Wow, and it is a Star Master with 2 star generals. Shower said in wonder. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demons stuck out his chest, for this was something he was proud of. But Li Jun and Fan Rui were not that relaxed. Even if the ranked 26th longevity star was on her home turf, she felt pressure, especially looking at that white and black unicorn tiger. The 2 star generals already were somewhat mentally and physically exhausted. If they really were to continue to fight, how could they be Wu Song's opponents? Elder sisters would not loot a burning house, would you? Li Xiangfei could only lower her figure, respectfully speaking. The 108 star of Maiden Mountain, especially the heavenly stars, had an absolute arrogance. This arrogance was displayed on fairness and above. A few exceptionally powerful yet to contract martial force heavenly stars would not act out to kill their sisters. This was their pride, and it was a kind of belief that made others laugh. However, it was precisely this belief that made these heavenly stars even more transcendent. I have no interest in your star duel, Wu Song coldly said, but we are very interested in the heavenly spirit chest. Which of you took it? Shower giggled. We cannot make a trip only to be empty-handed, right? The chest is with him. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon pointed at Su Xing. Little sister Wu Song. Did you see Yan Qing's 3 arrows lethal crossbow just now? Shower said. Her words left the Holy Lord of Draconic Demons group shaken. What? Yan Qing's legendary martial skill, the 3 arrows lethal crossbow, had appeared? The expressions staring at Su Xing brimmed with disbelief and even deeper hatred. Wu Song flatly replied. Although we won't interfere with a star duel, it is impossible for us to watch sisters massacre each other. Shower said, Little sister Wu Song, you say something? Hearing these words, The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon said, "You wish to interfere? Wrong. Give the chest to me, and we will help you become rich through friendship. We are all sisters." Shower pointed at Su Xing, attractively winking at Su Xing. This girl whose identity was unclear and mysterious had a sort of powerful atmosphere. "You think this Holy Lord fears you? How could the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon be resigned to let Su Xing go?" This short of a battle let him feel Su Xing's terrifying potential. To be able to use his nebula middle stage to contend against him for this long of a time, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon felt this was simply something from a fantasy story. It was necessary to strangle this type of opponent in the cradle. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon raised an arm, and the 19 demon swords attacked. Li Xiangfei and Fan Ming sensed their master's determination and also joined together to launch an assault. Roar! A tiger roar sounded over the Bo Sea. Descending in front of Su Xing in the blink of an eye, the white and black unicorn tiger's entire body erupted in snow light, unexpectedly forcing the demon swords to not dare get close. A cold and colorful noble frost demon lotus double-bladed sword appeared in her hand. Wu Song coldly said, "I very recently heard that there is a person of the Black Turtle Devil cults that began a killing spree in the Azure Dragon territory, who is using demon swords to feast on flesh and soul, who is fond of killing countless cultivators. It may be assumed that he is you." A trace of ice cold spread out. Shower smiled. For this sort of monster, star generals must enforce justice on the behalf of heaven. It would be better to help these two little sisters by removing them from the abyss of worldly suffering. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon changed, for he had drawn out their killing intent. As they spoke, a golden radiant weapon appeared in her hand. Wu Song and Shower's figures flashed, and the white and black unicorn tiger simultaneously pounced. "Young master, run quickly." If they were on the sea beforehand, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demons still could have something of a battle. However, that duel with Su Xing consumed too much star energy, and his 2 star maidens were even more spent. Confronting the Wu Song with her star beast and that mysterious girl, the 3 people were practically completely without the strength to fight back. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon indeed cried blood in his heart. Looking at Su Xing, he truly was resentful to the extreme, throwing out a banner to stop them. The 2 stars Noble Frost Demonic Lotus easily cut to pieces this nebula high-grade artifact. How could the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon dare stay any longer? The 2 star maidens also saw the opportunity to enter the star nest, and the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon immediately escaped using the devil smoke shapeshifting. Roar! The white and black unicorn tiger's 2 eyes released light. Its white figure flashed, even faster than the devil smoke, and a paw grabbed hold of the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon. The Holy Lord of Draconic Demon screamed, and he could only indignantly use the purple star token. Purple light flashed, and the jade pendant cracked. "This Holy Lord fucks your ancestors. Wu Song, you will certainly regret letting this man live, you will certainly regret it." Wearing a heart filled with resentment, indignation, and anger, the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon immediately became purple smoke that suddenly disappeared into the air. Su Xing slightly sighed, not expecting the insufferably arrogant Holy Lord of Draconic Demons escape to unexpectedly be this sorry. The purple star jade pendant split open a crack, and even Su Xing felt pain for him. Roar! The white and black unicorn tiger turned its head, dropping in front of Su Xing and roared. That voice filled with noble aspiration and daring of this spirit beast shook Su Xing's body until it was nearly broken. Nevertheless, the hand embracing Yen Yizhen was not loosened in the slightest. The Wu Song sitting on the white tiger looked at Su Xing pensively. Su Xing also looked the girl up and down. The Wu Song before him truly made him feel a type of incomparably frightening and dignified beauty. That flowing, graceful black hair, her resplendent and deep starry eyes, and her fair figure, she had a beauty that overthrew kingdoms, and it simply was as inconceivable as a dream. "Is he your master?" Wu Song opened her mouth to ask. Yen Yizhen's expression flashed emotion before immediately resuming her apathetic appearance, her firm expression already answering. "If you can repent before your servant, then do it so that your servant can see." Wu Song coldly glared at Su Xing. In whatever aspect, I absolutely am harmless to man and beast. Su Xing surrendered. This cool and elegant woman honestly was too fierce. Wu Song raised her brows. Shower giggled with it. You indeed are really optimistic, yet you nearly lost your life just now. Yan Qing, do you not want to return to the star nest to self-cultivate? Your injuries are heavy. Su Xing nodded. Only then did Yan Yizhen enter the star nest. To be able to sign the skillful star, you truly are incredible. In any respects, Yan Qing certainly is more difficult to contract than Lin Chong. Shower admiringly said, Lin Chong would not sign. That man who possesses Lin Chong definitely used some despicable method. Your servant shall make him regret it. Wu Song's tone was completely dense with killing intent. Su Xing widened his eyes, flabbergasted as he looked at Xiao. The girl covered her mouth as she smiled, winking at him as if saying, only you and I know this secret. Su Xing leaked cold sweat. How did this come about? He had apparently provoked a trouble even bigger than the Holy Lord of Draconic Demon. And that sister? Shower winked. Su Xing knew she was referring to Lin Yingmei. There were some things she needed to do, so she isn't here for the time being. Shower's eyes slightly widened, incredulous as she looked at Su Xing. You unexpectedly do not put her at your side? You truly are an interesting Star Master. This was actually the first time she had heard of a Star Master allowing his Star General to independently leave. Shower did not expect that you would surprisingly sign Yan Qing. Truly, truly admirable. Have you interest in telling elder sister the inside story? It must be very interesting, Su Xing helplessly looked at her, more like my little sister. You surprisingly want to let Shower be your little sister? Shower's eyes again widened. Within the Liangshan Maiden, Shower is indeed big enough to be the elder sister. You may follow the ranking order of your sisters, but in my eyes, you are still a little girl. Su Xing chuckled. You want to let Shower act as your little sister? You certainly are bold. No wonder you could sign Lin Chong. Shower covered her mouth, carrying a sort of disapproving smile. However, Shower is afraid you will not be able to enjoy that. Just as Su Xing wanted to speak, the Wu Song to the side coldly interrupted to ask, Shower, what are you and he chatting about? We should leave. Oh. Shower turned her head. Little sister Wu Song, elder sister suddenly had an idea. How about we let Su Xing go together with us to plunder the Purple Star grade birth outline? Su Xing said, Hey. Su Xing? Wu Song pursed her thin red lips. Her expression was tranquil yet cold. Your servant shall not collaborate with a Star Master. But he is not an ordinary Star Master, though? Shower meaningfully said. Wu Song clearly did not care for the profundity in Shower's words. Having the Harm Star Pilgrim join hands with a Star Master, this was something that would not happen in even a dream. All right, Shower helplessly replied. It was an arbitrary question, anyways, and in the end she kindly whispered a warning to Su Xing. Wu Song is but a tigress. Do you know what Shower means? And if she finds out I am that person, what will happen? Su Xing felt this was a thorny problem. That white and black unicorn tiger looked to be actually exceedingly swift and fierce. A 6th or 7th rank demon beast would not provide Su Xing such great courage. Star beast? Neither did he know what the history of this was. She will kill you. Without the slightest hesitation. Shower very seriously replied. Su Xing naturally knew that he currently was not an opponent for the cool and elegant woman before him. Just that white and black unicorn tiger was very difficult to settle. Why didn't you expose me? Lin Chong is not by your side, and neither does exposing you have any sense. Let alone, Shower's words changed the topic, mysteriously smiling. The Star Master that could sign Lin Chong is the first in a millennium. Shower always would have some expectations. Giggling, Shower rose high into the air and fell onto the white tiger. Wu Song's jade brows slightly creased. What did you and he speak about? How are you two so close? Is little sister jealous? Shower teased. Wu Song icily glanced at her, holding disdain for her humor. Finally, she glanced at Su Xing. Only then did she pat the white tiger. the white and black unicorn tiger's figure escaped. Like a streak of white light, it suddenly disappeared in front of his eyes, no longer wanting the previously mentioned heavenly spirit gray chest. Su Xing already knew from a glance that many cultivators were rushing here. No longer staying, he rode a sword and flew back towards flaming Eastern Island. Wu Song. It seems she is a very dangerous woman, Su Xing thought. Su Xing did not hastily enter the sect. The river dragon Li Jun and Fan Rui's slashing weapons left his whole body bruised all over. Although these were all superficial wounds, if someone from the sect found out, this would not be easy to explain. Su Xing found a corner to first stop his bleeding, and then he used star energy to briefly stabilize himself. Changing into a new set of robes, only until he looked to be in his normal good health did he return to the Four Styles School. Little E, do you want to return to the Immortal's abode and let Suwen help examine you? Su Xing asked with concern as he walked towards the bamboo house. No need to make little sister Suwen worried. Yan Yizhen's tone was indifferent yet showed a trace of seriousness. Su Xing agreed, for he did not want to make Suwen worried either. This birth outline plundering the birth outline this time certainly scared the cold sweat out of him. He did not expect that a place as remote as the flaming Eastern Island would attract such a powerful Star Master. Just a tiny bit more, and they would have met with failure. That Galaxy Sword chant was still too important, and battling with a Star Master that possessed a sword chant without having one himself was simply the difference between heaven and earth. He needed to think of a solution in order to make things work. Inside the bamboo house, Tang Lianxin was still researching every kind of tool refinement path. Su Xing greeted her and went to the hot spring first so as to avoid bumping into the girl. Tang Lianxin nodded, her expression somewhat odd as she gazed at Su Xing soaking his whole body in the hot spring. The hot water flowed past his wounds, and a burst of pain flashed once more. Afterwards, it settled down. The bones of his entire body seemingly had all shattered, and at this time, relaxing was indeed exceedingly comfortable. Su Xing recalled the heavenly spirit grade chest and took it out. Opening it, this robbing and killing for the birth outline could be said to be a disastrous loss. 2 nebula magic weapons were completely destroyed, and the most important was that the devil-suppressing steel and profound star barrier that accumulated star energy with so much difficulty had again lost their star energies. Su Xing originally took these 2 magic weapons, especially the profound star barrier, as his most important counterweights he would rely on for the purple star birth outline. Now, it looked that he would have to again think of something else. This heavenly spirit chest was a few essence stones, ore and sands, thread empty quicksilver, and mixed sea sand, 3, which shone before Su Xing. Although he could be said to have stayed in the Four Styles School for no more than a couple months, he had learned much about tool refinement. If these 2 kinds of ore were paired up with the blooming water divine thunder, he would happen to be able to forge a kind of entirely new bullet. Su Xing's silver blade was not used at all ever since the thunder fire bullets were completely depleted. Now, it seemed there was still a need to persist with his work on bullets. Besides these 2, Su Xing was again pleasantly surprised to discover Daybreak Frost and Snow Essence. With this, the 6 pieces of Daybreak Frost and Snow Essence Lin Xingmei needed to advance to a 2-star destined weapon was only off by 1 piece. Having seen Wu Song's 2-star destined weapon, Su Xing was also considering letting Lin Yingmei greatly advance the Arctic Star Serpent Spear. This way, even if they encountered Wu Song someday in the future, they would have a chance. Little E, what is your 2-star destined weapon still missing? It needs 3 pieces each of roasting yang stone and een cold jade. 5. Slave servant already has 1 piece of roasting yang stone. Little E replied. Su Xing heard these things were also precious items. Heavenly Star's destined weapon grade advancement truly was extraordinarily extravagant. Perhaps it was because if this that they would be this powerful. Reportedly, after a destined weapon was 5-star, even a Super Void-class star cultivator would not be an opponent. Beyond 7-star, transforming stars of annihilation class would have to concede defeat. Su Xing recalled the first generation's Wu Song's 9-star. It truly was unimaginable what kind of power that was capable of. Daybreak Frost and Snow Essence reportedly exists at Ice Origins Snowy Mountain. 6. But it seems there's no more time. Su Xing thought, finally shaking his head. To rush this when the purple star birth outline was opening was practically too late. Master, if you wish to have elder sister Ingmei advance to 2-star during the birth outline, slave servant actually knows of a place where it perhaps can be bought. Is there a market square like this? And perhaps it can be seen at the Falling Cherry Ghost Kingdom's market. That's right, I completely forgot about the island kingdom nearby. Su Xing nodded. The Falling Cherry Ghost Kingdom had a sun-binding mountain. 7. And that place was an extremely cold area. Not only was it abundant in daybreak frost and snow essence and such, the Een Cold Jade also had records of being excavated there. The Falling Cherry Ghost Kingdom was not far from Cooling Kingdom, approximately 3 days' distance, and he could rush back before Wu Xinjie and the rest returned. Little E, thank you really. Su Xing was deeply moved. This does not count as anything. I'm thanking you for helping me tangle up 2-star generals. Su Xing saw Yan Yizhen go all out in using her power alone to give Su Xing space to fight. This is something that slave servants should do. Yan Yizhen's tone was somewhat ashamed. The atmosphere was seemingly a bit silent, so Su Xing then shifted the mood, right? Little E, what was with that star beast? It looks different from a demon beast. Master, a star beast is a star general's guardian beast, much like a destined star weapon. I've never heard Xinjie speak about this sort of thing. Su Xing said, surprised. Yan Yizhen said, perhaps it is because the time has not come. A genuine star general has a destined star weapon and a star beast to form a mount. Genuine star general? Then, do you have them too? Su Xing asked in astonishment. Yes. Each star generals has her own guardian beast. As if she knew what Su Xing wanted to ask, Yan Yizhen continued her response. However, only after the 3rd phase Evil Smiting Hall could a star general have the chance to obtain her star beast mount. Su Xing noted the 4 words, a chance only after, that Yan Yizhen said, is it very difficult? Yes. Only after star masters and star generals obtain a star beast mount during the 3rd phase could they count as having genuine star duels. And starting from this time would star masters truly fight in close quarters. What was going on with Wu Song's white and black unicorn tiger? Su Xing was confused. How could that white and black unicorn tiger then be Wu Song's star beast mount? Wu Song is a special existence. After the 2nd phase begins, Wu Song's star beast has a possibility of appearing at Jinyang Ridge, yet the star beasts of the other star generals only can appear inside Evil Smiting Hall. Su Xing clicked his tongue. He could not help recall the water margin that he read before on Earth, that universally appreciated classic plot of Wu Song defeating the tiger at Jinyang Ridge. He did not expect there would be such a repeat performance inside the star duels, so it was no wonder the 1st generation Wu Song could acquire the overlord status. At the very beginning, she possessed such a cheat that put her too far in front of the others. It seems I cannot continue to be lazy for this star duel. Su Xing inwardly ground his teeth. Su Xing raised his head and reclined against the hot spring, pondering over the purple star birth outline and the things of the star duels just now. Suddenly, an empty noise sounded beside his ear. Su Xing subconsciously raised his brows, discovering Yan Yizhen had already appeared. The maid was still that indifferent. Her external injuries had already completely recovered, but her internal injuries perhaps still needed a very long time. Little E. Just as Su Xing wanted her to go back to self-cultivate, suddenly, he saw Yan Yizhen serenely and unhurriedly unfasten the buttons of her maid's skirt. That maid's skirt quickly slid off her body, revealing the snow-white dazzling body underneath. Besides her underpants, 8. The girl was practically naked. Su Xing stared blankly, forgetting to turn his head away. His tone was severe. Little E, what are you doing? Master, this time, slave servant is ashamed towards master, and is ashamed towards Ing. 9. Yan Yizhen entered the hot spring, one delicate hand stroking Su Xing's back, her tone calm yet carrying a trace of guilt. Let little E serve master by wiping his back. What you've done is already very good. Su Xing shook his head. This was gratitude that evolved from the bottom of the heart. To be able to confront two incredible star generals who would feel what she did was not enough. On the contrary, Su Xing only felt that he himself was not able to help her. And this guilt of Su Xing's was nevertheless caught onto by Yan Yizhen's sensitivity. Su Xing immediately thought of the reason the maid would do this. In the event that master has come to blame himself, this is slave servant's fault. Still, there's no need for you to be like this, Su Xing helplessly said. This is what slave servants should do. Yan Yizhen's tone carried the smallest trace of softness, and a pair of delicate hands tenderly stroked along Su Xing's back. As she softly sang, her jade peaks occasionally came into contact, revealing an entirely different kind of warmth and softness. What was strange was that Su Xing this time did not have any lustful intents. His mind was completely concerned on the girl's crooning, her singing voice suave, her lyrics joyful. That song of tenderness with yet unspeakable sorrow seemingly took Su Xing to that homeland distant as a dream, a place hidden within the depths of his soul. Cloud Brocade Mountain, Heavenly Master Ruins. Ever since the star duels commenced, forbid dances that could only be broken into by the star crests of star generals had been opened. Previously, many star generals had already come to these ruins. Besides a few talismans, there were no valuable things at all. On this day, another 3 pretty girls had come to the Heavenly Master Ruins. Inside the ruins, they exchanged the items clutched in each of the hands of 2 enormous statues. On that jade plate on the largest hand of the Heavenly Master sculpture, the jade plate suddenly opened. A talisman that released a light blue halo appeared. Ha ha, Sister Xinjie really deserves to be called the resourceful star, breaking open this complex of a mechanism. The girl wearing the black jumpsuit giggled. The 3 were none other than Wu Xinjie, Shi Yuan and Lining. At this time, they had been apart from Su Xing already for close to a month. Touring the Azure Dragon territory, the ruins and tombs they had broken into were many while their harvest was also pretty good. Now, Wu Xinjie happened to plan that after they finished exploring the ruins, they would then return to Flaming Eastern Island. Not meeting for a month made Wu Xinjie quite miss him. Wu Xinjie slightly smiled, ordering, "Be careful. Watch this, young ladies." Shi Yuan's body was light as a swallow. She rose, and every sort of mechanism and trap was consecutively set off, but they were easily avoided by the thief star as if she was on a familiar path. In the blink of an eye, she was in front of the Heavenly Master statue. Shi Yuan subtly looked it over for a bit, and confirming it was free of problems. Only then did she take the talisman. In the blink of an eye, she was already back between Wu Xinjie and Lin Yingmei. Shi Yuan then gave the talisman to Wu Xinjie. The talisman's paper was a light blue, its magic script splashing, revealing a mysterious light. The space faintly moved, and Wu Xinjie was hoarse, territory-breaking talisman. 2. This is that supreme-grade talisman that can eliminate any magic circle or forbid dance? Shi Yuan was astonished. Quietly counting, this supreme-grade talisman unexpectedly came with 5 copies. This really is too good. This young lady did not expect to even obtain a supreme-grade talisman. Su Xing definitely will be shocked. The final trip always counted as having a perfectly happy harvest, and Wu Xinjie rubbed her forehead. Hiding in a secret place, you sneak, why don't you come out and show yourself? Lin Yingmei turned around, abruptly speaking in a cold voice. Wu Xinjie and Shi Yuan immediately stowed away their relaxed mood and also turned around. How rather perceptive. Within the darkness, a man and woman walked out. The man wore a black robe with armor protecting his chest. His appearance counted as rather passable, and the girl was more bright on the eyes. Draped in a blue overcoat with flame motifs on the cuffs and a long flame pattern on her riding boots, she wore a red head cover bound with a hoop, and she had a very weary pair of eyes. The Heavenly Master Ruins had been bolstered with a Star General Forbid Dance, where only Star Generals and Star Masters were able to enter, so this man and woman's identities were exposed. The man slightly smiled. So it was the Knowledge Star. No wonder you are so incredible. I indeed walked into great luck this time. Enormously bad luck? Wu Xinjie smiled. The man laughed out loud and looked at the three girls. Other than the noteworthy woman with the flourishing heroic spirit, the others looked to be harmless. The knowledge star was ranked third, but her military force was absolutely crippled. This star master was not afraid that Wushinjie could have some helpers. The so-called birds of a feather flocked together. To be able to strenuously and meticulously break the ruins idea, it may be assumed their strength was only so. The man said to the girl beside him, "3, how about it? Elder sister Wu Yong could just give us the talisman just now. You having it is a waste." Yuan Dan stepped forward and said dully, "This certainly will not do. My young lord is but waiting for me to return." Wu Xinjie giggled. "Then don't blame little sister." Yuan Dan raised her hand, and a silver, engraved with countless flames, flashing a single star, double-edged axe appeared in her hand. Mountain-cutting double-edged axe. So it turns out to be the ranked 105 healthy star god of the dangerous road, little sister Yubausi. 5. Wu Xinjie discerned the affiliation of this destined star weapon. In the earthly stars, the god of the dangerous road actually was a military general with rather good military force. The flames on Yu Yuandan's double-edged axe circulated, and that pair of weary eyes gradually became serious. Lin Yingmei stepped forward, waved her hand, and an ordinary spear appeared in her hand. 6. The man smiled while Yu Yuandan was powerless. Elder sister Wu Yong's bodyguard is actually impressive-looking but worthless, unexpectedly taking up an ordinary weapon to fight me? It is enough to defeat you. Lin Yingmei put one foot forward, her chi like a boulder. The god of the dangerous road Yu Yuandan sensed a sort of pressure, and her eyebrows lifted, unexpectedly not as relaxed as before. Little sister Yuandan, you must try very hard. If this elder sister is angry, a spanking would certainly be very painful. Wu Xinjie said. When Shi Yuan heard this, she laughed. Yu Yuandan immediately raised her hatchet and then went to attack. Her silhouette dodged away, a resounding firework. The god of the dangerous road was startled. Her own one-star mountain-cutting double-edged axe unexpectedly did not slash apart that spear. A star energy barrier. The god of the dangerous road was then stunned, discovering this spear already had a layer of star energy upon it. A star general Yu Yuandan abruptly straightened up, her eyes shooting a swift and fierce light. Gritting her teeth, she lifted her axe up sideways and chopped. Lin Yingmei's spear already thrust out, launching towards the opponent like lightning. As the attack was en route, it suddenly changed direction, but it was not at all a purely abrupt change in direction. Rather, it was an arbitrary attack that followed the master's intent. Even if a weapon such as a destined star weapon was used to block, the spear tip that was struck away could in a flash turn around and counterattack like a snake, simply not letting there be the slightest bit of time to gasp for breath. The god of the dangerous road this time was truly breaking out in a cold sweat. The young girl's body dodged away from this strike, and suddenly shouting without the slightest hesitation, the mountain-cutting double-edged axe raised an expansive arc of light that rapidly spun like a snowflake. The axe weapon danced, and a vast stretch of red flame-like chi rays sprayed towards Lin Yingmei, seemingly an unstoppable hurricane, enveloping its prey tightly inside the flame axe edge's shadow. Without a doubt, it was the healthy star's yellow rank axe technique. But a yellow rank attack like this was incapable of halting Lin Yingmei's pace. The girl was just like a peregrine falcon traveling to and fro in the midst of its quick attacks. Even if she was occasionally forced to a dead end of the flame axe, the spear's accurate and swift attacks were enough to lift the siege. Regardless of how crafty the god of the dangerous road Yu Yuandan's attack angle was, how frequently she changed her speed, her attacks seemingly were incapable of harming Lin Yingmei even a tiny bit. That handle was suffused with a cold light, the pike conducting a whirling dance under Lin Yingmei's control, just like a tightly packed iron rampart. Washing away every slash the girl brandished, in the blink of an eye, that ice-cold silhouette arrived in front of her, breaking open all the gaps in her defense. The spear finally split open, but Yu Yuandan was too late to feel glad. The spear split, and Lin Yingmei directly used the short spearhead to suddenly stab, bringing an ice-cold light to Yu Yuandan's eyes. "Which elder sister are you?" Yu Yuandan asked, overwhelmed with shock. Lin Yingmei did not reply. When the master of the god of the dangerous road saw this, he hastily wanted to back her up. But just at this time, Lin Yingmei's figure fled, appearing in front of him like an illusion. A chilly-to-the-bone nip in the air penetrated into his marrow. Immediately, this man gave up all hope. "Don't!" Yu Yuandan yelled loudly. The spear point pressed against his throat. Lin Yingmei did not stab it through, for he was unworthy of her stabbing him. "Next time, you will not be this fortunate," Lin Yingmei asserted, throwing the spear. The man's legs then went limp. Emerging from the heavenly master ruins, Shi Yuan excitedly said, "Elder sister Lin Yingmei is truly too cool. It's fortunate that Su Xing had elder sister Yingmei come with us." Thinking back over every kind of ruin, secret place, forbid dance and tomb they explored, it was lucky that they had Lin Yingmei protect them. Otherwise, they truly did not dare imagine they would have this much success. "We had better quickly return." Lin Yingmei gazed at the horizon. The emotions in her eyes had a trace of undulation. "Does elder sister Yingmei miss Su Xing?" Shi Yuan laughed into her sleeve. Lin Yingmei said, "We are young masters star generals. This should be so." Shi Yuan stared blankly, stopped and left speechless by Lin Yingmei's words. Wu Xinjie laughed. "Yingmei, we indeed have troubled you, making you unable to stay at the young lord's side." Lin Yingmei lightly shook her head. "However, before we return, there is still one thing we need to do." Wu Xinjie gazed at the distant Maiden Mountain, seeing that the purple light on the mountain had already begun to sparkle. The birth outline's final purple star birth outline already was on the verge of beginning. "Is there anything else? Yuaner, go inquire for a bit how those great sects are preparing for this purple star birth outline plunder." Pausing, Wu Xinjie cautiously asked, "Can you do it?" "Relax, eavesdropping for information is but the specialty of this young lady." Shi Yuan patted her chest as she pledged. Xinjie sees that in this purple star birth outline plundering, perhaps the other sects have already linked together. Knowing the enemy and knowing oneself is to emerge victorious from every battle. It is still better to first investigate clearly what they will do. "Yingmei, what do you feel?" Wu Xinjie said. Good. When we get back, let us give young lord a great, big surprise." Shi Yuan said in excitement. Who knows if young lord has broken through to galaxy stage or not? At this time, he should be breaking through. Wu Xinjie slowly said. The void immortal's abode. Like Wu Xinjie thought, at this time, Su Xing sat upright and still on the cold ice bed, his whole body's breath soft and continuous, just like flowing water. Su Xing had already maintained this movement now for 3 days. A fidgety and Su Wen was nearby, her hands grasping the hem of her jacket, restless. It was the always steady and indifferent Yan Yizhen that could not help but slightly wrinkle her brow. "And Su Wen, your pill must have usefulness?" And Su Wen nodded. "It surely is useful." Su Wen has already clearly understood the workings of Big Brother's star energy when breaking through to galaxy stage. There is no mistake. And Su Wen has already prescribed the right medicine with these pills. When she said that she understood clearly, and Su Wen's charming face turned red. "Why is your face red?" Yan Yizhen asked. "It's nothing." And Su Wen turned away her gaze, her voice very quiet. Yan Yizhen did not care. Her gaze was completely placed upon Su Xing. They saw that the air surrounding Su Xing already was slowly circulating. Furthermore, it was even more and more, and after a long time, Su Xing opened his eyes. His face was tranquil. "Big Brother, you must have succeeded?" And Su Wen asked. Su Xing anxiously looked at Su Wen. And Su Wen was stunned. She sighed. "Little sister is incompetent. I succeeded, little sister, all thanks to you." Su Xing softly pinched her cheeks. "Really?" "Of course," Su Xing nodded. The nebula energy inside his body was already like river water, flowing past his entire body's channels. This was the characteristic of a galaxy stage cultivator, where star energy became a river. Because Su Wen changed from sorrow to joy, she rebuked him. "Big Brother, little sister almost was scared to death by you." Su Xing laughed out loud. Yan Yizhen could not help but let loose a mouthful of air. "Look at the time." Shinjie and the others are about to return. And Suwon said. Then before this, we have to give them a surprise. What plan does Big Brother have? And Suwon blinked. We'll go to Falling Blossom's Ghost Kingdom to see whether or not we can help Inmei by obtaining the last piece of Daybreak Frost and Snow Essence. Falling Blossom's Ghost Kingdom, an isolated island kingdom in the middle of the sea. Because it was abundant in cherry-like beauties and ghost martial cultivators that loved to kill, that is how it received its name. The dynasties of many countries in the past attempted to conquer this kind of sea country, but the sea area of the Heavenly Moat was a huge protective screen. Every time an entire country invaded, the Falling Blossoms Ghost Kingdom's yin-yang masters, star cultivators, and ghost martial cultivators all would simultaneously set out on a campaign. There was no alternative to millions of armed forces. However, these were not difficult problems to star cultivators. As long as they were careful, they could very easily land on this island nation. Kagoshima, too, was located in one of Falling Blossom's Ghost Kingdom's most peripheral counties. Overlooking the flaming yellow sea, the environment on the island was graceful, with uninterrupted cherry trees. Every third month of spring, when the breeze passed, the cherry blossoms were like an ocean, with the entire Kagoshima decorated in beauty past compare. Such a beautiful place also was the favorite place for many dual cultivation partners. Over time, Kagoshima then became a place with a connection to the Azure Dragon territory. It also unconsciously established the most bustling island city on the flaming yellow sea. This place was also the Falling Blossoms Ghost Kingdom's largest non-public gathering place for star cultivators. Regardless of whether one was a star cultivator, yin-yang master, or ghost martial cultivator, all these figures were seen. And the place Su Xing came to was precisely this Kagoshima. Rather than say Antler City, was Kagoshima's most flourishing city, it would be better to say it was an immense business market square. In this kind of place of the Falling Blossoms Kingdom, the bustle of the night was often even more flourishing than the day. When Su Xing arrived at Kagoshima Market Square, the sun was already setting in the west, the dark night coming forth. On the market square's main street, people flowed restlessly, brightly lit. Magic treasures and artifacts, pills and talismans, and magic circles were all concentrated together. Even the brothels of sensual pleasures were everywhere to be seen in this Antler City. Everything had been orderly planned out, which made Su Xing gasp in amazement. This kind of scale was but larger than Bien City by several factors. From the materials Su Xing knew, the one who ruled the whole Kagoshima Market Square was reportedly the Crystal Dragon King's palace, one of the Azure Dragon territories, 3 palaces. To think that it was the Crystal Dragon King's palace, Su Xing actually understood clearly the scale of Kagoshima. What sort of place was the Crystal Dragon King's palace? As the Azure Dragon territory's most top-notch treasure sect, their cave dwelling reportedly was established in the deep sea. The Crystal Dragon King's palace's treasure feast was but Liangshan's most first-rate banquet. In this gathering, every magic weapon item that would be sold or available for transaction had values that were not below 100 billion liang of gold. At the Crystal Dragon King's palace, you practically could buy anything you could think of. Su Xing, Suwon and Yenizhen walked on the main street. 5. The things sold here not only divided the districts, even the street names were corresponding characteristics. This, or Main Street, was Antler City's biggest mineral marketplace for minerals. Antler Market Square's mineral marketplace was very famous. That place distributed every kind of essence stone and minerals. It could be said to be Azure Dragon territory's largest or selling grounds. As long as you had enough capital, regardless of whether it was the Earth quintessential extreme winding essence gold, or the Black Prison Devil Jade under the 9 Hells, or the Arctic Arrival, or 6, in the deep sea, or even the savagely treasured minerals that came from the White Tiger territory, all could be found. The market square had a massive crowd. Su Xing indeed opened wide his ken. Cultivators that wore every kind of oddly shaped and made garments were innumerable in succession. Passing through this period of time of tempering, he would not be this easily shocked. After the star duels began, Kagoshima's market square then turned even more bustling. Even if we encountered a star general here, it would not be strange. There also are many star masters advancing the grade of star weapons that would be here. Master, we must be somewhat more careful. This already was not the first time Yanizhan was here, and she very easily introduced things. Su Xing nodded. He already ingested pills to alter his appearance. His clothing also was a prince's florid pattern, which Yanizhan's made uniform matched flawlessly. That silk brocade of Ensuan's also made people think from a look that she was Su Xing's woman. The three people walked near a booth, and Su Xing brimmed with interest as sized up the assortment of ores that this booth had. Due to Kagoshima itself having a very large forbid dance, each store had the Dragon King's palace's guarantee, so there was no need to fear being plundered by others. Su Xing first of all wanted to go find Daybreak Frost and Snow Essence. A few ordinary shops and booths could not possibly sell this kind of precious thing. Ever since the star duels began, the raw materials for star weapon grade advancement developed according to the situation and were even more rare. Soon, Su Xing spotted a North Kingdom Cold Wind 7 shop. North Kingdom was the Azure Dragon Territory's northernmost country. Situated upon a tundra, it was covered in ice and snow year-round. He did not expect to be able to see a shop that came from the North Kingdom, so Su Xing curiously walked inside. When he went in, Su Xing he could not help but feel a bone-chilling ice cold. Drawing in a mouthful of cold air, he saw that the ores inside the store was astonishingly many, with every kind of fantastic oddity of a stone were all there. Originally, Su Xing believed that it was pretty good to have more than 10 pieces of Arctic-type ores, but this place surprisingly had a vast stretch, with some even being never before seen. Due to these stones, crystals and jades coming from a deep cold, they made the room enveloped in an extremely chill. If one star energy was slightly weaker, then they would be somewhat cold. To the extent that there were not many cultivators inside the store. The shop assistants were several pleasant women, their clothing actually thin, completely contrary to the chilliness in the room. Spotting Su Xing, they smiled and welcomed him. Galaxy stage cultivators always were masters that had capital. Spotting some ice kite Arctic stone, from the North Kingdom's most extreme locations, Su Xing's eyes let off light. This kind of stone was a considerable rarity. Forging it into weapons would make cold and ice permeate everywhere. Reportedly, it could shapeshift into an ancient spirit bird, ice kite. If it was used to forge the cold ice kite bullets, it would be the perfect material. It was a pity that it was too expensive, at 100 million liang of gold apiece. This was robbery. Young lord, there must be something you like? A blue-clothed pretty woman smiled and asked. I'll take a look first. Su Xing did not make a clear-cut reply. Although he had plundered many chests and obtained ample capital, heaven knew how expensive Daybreak Frost and Snow Essence was. Very well. Searching for a while, inside the store were many Arctic-type ores, with even several pieces of Arctic Cloud Ice souls, but as it happened he could not find Daybreak Frost and Ice Essence. Su Xing was somewhat disappointed, but he did not hope to buy some the moment he arrived. It seems what I want isn't here. Su Xing shook his head. This young lord, could it be that you want to buy those supreme grade ores? The woman asked. We are but Kagoshima Market Square's largest store that sells Arctic-type ores. If it could not be found here, perhaps you would have much difficulty finding it. Then do you know what other places here specialize in Arctic-type jades and ores? Su Xing asked. The woman was stunned by Su Xing's question, not expecting there would be people that would ask her like this. Su Xing gave her a gold ingot. Since this is the biggest store, don't tell me that it still fears others fighting for customers. Young lord sure knows how to speak. The woman rejected the gold. Your servant does not want gold, but there is no harm in telling young lord either. At Earthly Treasure Street 9, there are several stores that sell Arctic stone. However, normal people are but unable to purchase them. The woman's eyeballs looked around her own store, and Su Xing then knew what she wanted to do. If I truly can purchase it, what harm is there in helping a beautiful woman do a bit of business? I want this piece of ice kite Arctic stone. Su Xing chuckled. However, I do not have 100 million liang of gold. How about I use 5 pieces of cloud-patterned dipper silver? Young lord really does take unfair advantage. 5 pieces of cloud-patterned dipper silver is no more than 50 million liang. But the discrepancy is off by a lot. The woman covered her mouth. Su Xing indeed took that piece of ice kite Arctic stone to his liking, adding several kinds of essence or after some thought. Big brother, did you choose a good item? And Suwen moved over inquisitively when she saw Su Xing bargain for prices with the woman. This ice kite Arctic stone I feel is not bad. Su Xing looked at that stone and shook his head, but the value is 100 million. Young lord, how could you say this? For this ice kite Arctic stone, 100 million is indeed the lowest. The woman still smiled. Su Xing was unconcerned. His tool refinement was somewhat standard, so naturally his insight was sharp, because that Arctic stone of yours was put outside for too long. Its Arctic chi has wear and tear, far from being able to compare to those that only just came out. Using it for refinement is a great loss of value. This 100 million still cannot be compared to lacking a few stones. We ourselves prepared every sort of method to guarantee the purity of the ice kite Arctic stone's Arctic chi. How could the thing that young lord said happen? The woman shook her head. I am a tool refinement master. How could it be that I am fooling you? Su Xing twitched his mouth. Tool refinement master? His counterpart was somewhat surprised. However, she immediately clearly understood. A tool refinement master visiting Kagoshima Market Square was not some novel affair, but judging from Su Xing's age, this took refinement master would not have any standard. You don't believe me? I'll point it out for you to see. If you cannot accept it wholeheartedly, I will dismount at once. I won't speak nonsense, but if your eyes are dull, Su Xing stopped when he said this. Then use the 5 pieces of cloud-patterned dipper silver that young lord spoke of for exchange. This concerned their reputation, so the woman naturally was not ready to shrink back. Clasping the ice kite Arctic stone in his hand, he only felt cold chi down to his bones. Young lord, what have prepared for your servant to see? The woman smiled. At this time, there already were several cultivators that had surrounded them out of curiosity. They also could not discern what was different about this piece of ice kite Arctic stone. Do you see how the impurity here is somewhat different? Su Xing pointed at a corner. Everyone looked, and indeed, the color was dull. If a hand was used to feel it, it seemed that no Arctic chi could be felt. The ice kite Arctic stone's greatest characteristic was ice, but that place was like water. Clearly, this was an inferior product. Everyone was in an uproar. The woman opened her mouth in disbelief. How could this be? We definitely already inspected it. She looked at Su Xing in infinite bewilderment. Su Xing smiled and said, You won't doubt that I am playing tricks? To turn a piece of first-rate Arctic stone into this, do you feel that I can manage it this instant? The woman warmed her expression. This had to be so. A Galaxy early-stage cultivator was far from being able to alter to the extreme Arctic ice kite Arctic stone. This could not be accomplished without a special ability and extremely powerful control over star energy. Could it be she really made a mistake? The woman's heart had some regrets. But in front of everyone's faces, she could not smash the store's reputation. Your servant's name is Diao Yu. 10. So take this as making young lord's acquaintance. May I venture to ask young lord's name? Diao Yu smiled sweetly. Call me Su Xing. Su Xing said. Fellow Su Xing truly has good eyesight. In the future, you certainly have great prospects. As for this ice kite Arctic stone, your servant presents this to young lord as the Extreme Ice Holy Palace's 11 gift of friendship. Extreme Ice Holy Palace? A present to me? Su Xing was astonished. When young lord someday achieves meteoric success and becomes a tool refinement scholar, the Extreme Ice Holy Palace certainly will look up to young lord. Diao Yu spoke bluntly. Seeing her eyes flicker, Su Xing immediately understood. She already could tell that he actually used a trick on the ice kite Arctic stone. So you do know? Su Xing asked in rumination. What young lord used just now definitely was the heavenly water heart flame. This is the tool refinement heart flame of scholar Juyueka's soul school. To be able to make friends with a tool refinement scholar's disciple certainly has always been a little girl's as well as the Holy Palace's cherished dream. Diao Yu executed sound transmission. This frankness of hers actually made the Su Xing who pulled a few tricks just now feel somewhat sorry, for he felt this woman was really cute. Since she put it this way, to do something like hurt a beauty's heart, Su Xing had no need to go do this. 1. The context provided here clarifies that it is falling blossoms, not falling cherry ghost kingdom. Think Sakura. Right arrow curving left 2. Right arrow curving left 3. Which has made me debate on whether the author intended for this to be Kagoshima or, say, Dear Child Island. Right arrow curving left 4. Right arrow curving left 5. Right arrow curving left 6. Right arrow curving left 7. Right arrow curving left 8. Kite as in the bird. Right arrow curving left 9. Right arrow curving left 10. Right arrow curving left 11. Seeing that the Taoist Song Jing was unsettled and wavering, Su Xing said, If Senior does not wish to exchange, there is no problem. This one beneath you can understand. Liang Shan's great and eccentric items are more and more emergent. Even if it was Senior, you could not possibly have seen everything. In the future, speaking cautiously will do. Hearing these words, Ruojin was extremely angry. How could he not hear the needle hidden in the silk of Su Xing's words? What understanding was that? It was clearly mockery. As far as this virtuous, prestigious and arrogant tool refinement great master was concerned, how could he lose face? Senior Song Jing, this sword is only a cheap trick, not something that counts as odd. Ruojin promptly said. The Taoist Song Jing waved his hand, hinting at him to say no more. Deeply sighing, this old man did not correctly guess this sword's capabilities, so naturally, this old man admits that it is a rare item. This old man also is indeed fond of it, but a solely sealing-type artifact or magic weapon in Liangshan is not extraordinary. Using it on a sword is something clever to get what you want, as he says. How about this, then? If you can find another thing that this old man has similarly never seen before, then this old man will not object. Without mentioning that Ensuan was somewhat dissatisfied, feeling that he was finding an excuse, even Yen Yizhen wrinkled her brow. The maid would rather use martial force to teach an untrustworthy person a lesson. The Taoist Song Jing's refusal was actually within Su Xing's expectations, and he only indifferently said, This one beneath you actually has a similarly peculiar item. Senior absolutely has not seen it before. However, it seems that Senior does not sincerely want to exchange and merely wants to use this as a pretext to experience treats for the eyes. This one beneath you withdraws. Saying this, Su Xing then rose to leave. Wait! The Taoist Song Jing promptly shouted. Should Su Xing truly leave, his reputation would be completely ruined. If it truly is a peculiar item, this old man shall exchange with you. This one beneath you has never planned to exchange this at all. Su Xing turned, slightly smiling. Senior Song Jing, what good thing could he have? He must be fooling you. Ruojin immediately said. If it truly is something this old man has never seen before, then this old man does not want your things but will gift the daybreak frost and snow essence to you. How about it? The Taoist Song Jing's words were within Su Xing's expectations once more. Such a prideful and arrogant tool refinement great master as he would certainly not be resigned to this, so opening this sort of condition was reasonable. Then Junior will believe in Senior for once. Su Xing nodded. From his astral bag flew out something sparkling with a bright silver light. It could be held in the hand, seemingly a sword yet not a sword, shaped extremely oddly. This naturally was Silver Blade. The Taoist Song Jing felt it up. Searching inside with his divine intent, he showed a shocked expression. He had thought himself experienced and knowledgeable, with much self-confidence on tool refinement, but the strange structure of the silver blade that Su Xing brought out was unprecedented. Even he had never seen anything like those dazzling components. Furthermore, the interior had some mechanisms that were even more fantastic. The Taoist Song Jing knew with a look that was something that Liangshan could not possibly forge. With regards to his shock, this was again within Su Xing's expectations. Although Liangshan Continent's tool refinement was superb, Silver Blade was built with a few industrial arts using modern super-accurate machinery. In particular, This silver blade was specially manufactured with some mixed elements and materials that were simply impossible to appear in Liangshan. This sort of thing is only shaped strangely? Ruojin did not accept this. Su Xing took out a few bullets he had manufactured beforehand, and he loaded them into the magazine afterwards. Handing it over to the Taoist Song Jing, "Senior, what kind of rank do you think this weapon is categorized as?" This old man is unsure. The Taoist Song Jing shook his head. The handgun did not have any magic energy, nor was an amulet or magic seal engraved upon it. In short, of the characteristics an artifact should have had, it did not have a single one. On first glance, it was ordinary without any oddities. It was that sort of only a simple decoration as Ruojin said, but the internal structure was clearly terrifyingly precise. Seeing Su Xing load conical iron bullets inside, the Taoist Song Jing wrinkled his brow. "Senior, try pulling the trigger," Su Xing said. "Trigger?" The Taoist Song Jing was confused. "It's this." Su Xing pointed. But the bullet left the barrel. It whizzed, seemingly breaking the air. Unexpectedly, it was far more powerful than those conical projectiles. Could this be a firearm? The Taoist Song Jing said in shock. Liangshan had firearms, but whether it be shape or this kind of weapon structure, it was completely different. Furthermore, they could not possibly have such speed. "It is whatever Senior feels it is." Su Xing stowed Silver Blade away. The Taoist Song Jing mockingly smiled. "From Elder Senior's shock just then to now, it may be assumed that you have never seen it before?" And Suan thought he was about to renege again. She could not help wrinkling her brow, her tone resentful. "If I may ask, I wonder where this thing came from?" The Taoist Song Jing seriously said. "I found it in a ruin. As expected, it is this. This type of mysterious thing can only appear in ancient prehistoric ruins." The Taoist Song Jing exclaimed. "Ah, Senior, you are not actually thinking of using 400 million liang of gold to exchange for 5 million liang?" Ruojin was about to go mad. "To be able to see such a supernaturally fine thing, do not tell me it is 400 million. It may as well be worth 40 billion. The Taoist Song Jing was resolute. Su Xing thought he is indeed a wily old fox. Now he's actually saying some pretty words. Little brother is a god as expected. This old man is won over, so this daybreak frost and snow shall be gifted to you." The Taoist Song Jing waved his hand, and a piece of white, sharply shining stone that was like snow yet unlike it appeared. It was the daybreak frost and snow essence Su Xing needed. Su Xing's heart was content, and he received the daybreak frost and snow essence without hesitation. The eyes of the Ruojin watching from the side were red. This old man no longer wants that sword either. As long as little brother informs this old man how it is refined? The Taoist Song Jing cupped his fist this time. Within the veins of a tool refinement master, asking for instruction from subordinates was not at all a shameful matter. Su Xing nodded. The devil's sealing sword was not that exceptional anyways. "Senior, you truly are mad. You do not want Ruojin's 400 million liang, yet unexpectedly because of these spare pieces of scrap," Ruojin blurted out. "You may leave now." The Taoist Song Jing's tone was ice-cold. Ruojin was unsightly. Ruthlessly glaring at Su Xing, he then angrily left. When he left, the Taoist Song Jing kindly warned, "This Li Ruojin is the son of one of the Azure Dragon Territory's aristocratic families. Now that you have taken the daybreak frost and snow essence, you must take note of him. A single slip may cause everlasting sorrow. We'll just have to see what he will go choose." Su Xing said disdainfully. The Taoist Song Jing's eyelids jumped. "What Diao you said was true. Little brother is sure enough a distinguished genius. Your future prospects certainly have no bounds, so this old man has here a tool refinement program, too, that little brother can take away to analyze if you have interest? Then thanks to Senior." Su Xing cupped his hands. This Taoist Song Jing's qualifications were ample, and by means of his wandering the four seas, he made friends with and understood the perspectives of every large sect. His accumulated experience was evidently very helpful, for tool refinement masters were just this way. If he wanted to constantly improve, to walk down a few less winding roads, The lifetime of experiences of a tool refinement master were extremely helpful. The Wu Tai from that time was only an average tool refinement master, yet his life experiences brought Su Xing the greatest conveniences. These great masters' experiences would certainly be recognized with a thought. When he came out of the grass storage shop, the Taoist Song Jing's deferential attitude made Su Xing feel embarrassed. I never expected to obtain the final piece of daybreak frost and snow essence this easily. Su Xing's present mood was in fairly high spirits. However, there were people who were bound to not let Su Xing pass with such relaxation. Li Regine had waited outside for a long time, and he barred Su Xing's way. Yan Yizhen put herself in front. Su Xing patted the maid's shoulder, notifying little E to fall back to the side. Su Xing smiled. Does fellow wish to rob me? He was not worried. If his opponent truly had wicked intentions, Su Xing did not mind getting rid of an evil for the people. Li Ruijin's expression fluctuated between fine and evil. He harumphed. How could this young lord do that sort of base thing as looting? This fellow used those cheap trick items to obtain the daybreak frost and snow essence, which Ruijin finds admirable. How about selling that piece of daybreak frost and snow essence to your servant? 400 million apiece is not low. Do you feel I will agree? Su Xing asked in turn. Li Ruijin was somewhat unsightly. Does fellow not fear scalding his hand holding this kind of precious thing? What say you? Su Xing thoughtfully asked, smiling. Li Ruijin had no words to say. From the outfit on Su Xing's body, he naturally knew his counterpart's background was not low. Although he was galaxy early stage, looking at that cold and detached maid, her martial force had an appearance out of the ordinary. Li Ruijin harumphed, not wanting to stir up trouble over this daybreak frost and snow essence. Just as he wanted to leave, Su Xing rolled his eyes, with the crafty thought to loot a burning house. Brother Ruijin, if you truly want it, then this one beneath you has a way. What way? Li Ruijin smiled and could not help but ask. Wouldn't it be better for us to make a bet? Su Xing said, I'll wager the daybreak frost and snow essence, and you wager the 400 million liang of gold and whatever origin heaven will artifact that was? How do we gamble? Let those two bodyguards of yours and my little E have an unarmed battle. Whoever wins will go back. Su Xing looked at Yan Yizhen. The maid's face was expressionless, but she imperceptibly nodded. 2 bodyguards against your 1 maid. That's rather too arrogant. Li Ruijin lowered his voice. His bodyguards were certainly incredible martial cultivators, and to handle a galaxy early-stage cultivator, they were enough to ensure a grisly end for the counterpart if he did not use a sword chant. Hearing Su Xing's words, he coldly sized up Yan Yizhen, but he could not make out anything. Star General, but if it was unarmed, this type of Star General was extremely few. Li Ruijin naturally was not convinced the superficial youth could contract the talented and brilliant skillful star. How about it? This will also give you a bit of enlightenment, so as to avoid you making a slip that causes everlasting sorrow. Su Xing dully said. Hesitating over and over again, although his counterpart made clear he was provoking him, Li Ruijin really did not believe his 2 martial cultivators could not take care of the opponent. He also indeed had thought of robbing and killing, and now the other party gave him an open and candid excuse. Li Ruijin did not want to miss this. You 2 go, do not show mercy. Li Ruijin coldly said, beat her, 1 man for 10 million times. As you wish, young master. Little E, don't mind increasing our traveling expenses by a bit? Su Xing said. Master is gentle as expected. Does slave servants still need to be considerate handling this type of person? Yan Yizhen apathetically said, her tone cold as she walked forward. The 2 martial practitioners assumed their stances, as if feeling that 2 big men bullying a woman was somewhat without face. One of them looked at his compatriot. Yan Yizhen's expression was indifferent, as if their figures wandered outside of her line of sight. You 2 come over. What an arrogant maid. One of the bodyguards shouted. Watch my fierce tiger descends the mountain. 3. Immediately he rose in a leap, his 2 fists vigorously raising wind, with the faint hiss of wind. The maid's figure dodged. That was a matter that happened in a split second. Li Ruojin was unable to react. That bodyguard covered his throat as he knelt where he was and vomited. Yan Yizhen slowly brushed past him. The maid's tone was an old well without a ripple. Next is you? The bodyguard was dumbstruck. This Kagoshima actually is a good place. Su Xing praised as he held an astral bag in his hand. He had come to Kagoshima for only a few hours, yet his harvest was quite plentiful, even more than robbing and killing for a birth outline heavenly spirit chest. 1 piece of ice kite arctic stone, 1 piece of daybreak frost and snow essence, as well as Li Ruojin's double offer of 400 million liang of gold and the galaxy artifact origin heaven wheel. And Su Wen lightly smiled. Sister Yizhen is truly incredible. Next, let's go see whether or not we can help little E purchase what she needs to upgrade her star weapon. With this much capital, Su Xing was energized. Slave servant has troubled master. Yan Yizhen was flat as before. Yan Yizhen needed roasting yang stone and Een cold jade to upgrade to 2-star. The former could actually be regarded as easy to purchase, for he was just able to use the 400 million Li Ruojin sent to buy 2 pieces of roasting yang stone. The latter was more difficult. This kind of Een cold jade was not an ordinary jade, rather, it was a perfect Arctic jade extracted from going through a jade craftsman sculpting. Its value was even more expensive than daybreak frost and snow essence. Su Xing searched for half a day before he saw one at an auction. However, this type of item did not use gold for the transaction. It used magic weapons, precious stone materials, treasures, etc. Su Xing roughly estimated that piece of Een cold jade's value was 1 billion liang when converted to gold, which truly made Su Xing feel that money was not money. Su Xing's most valuable was only the extreme winding essence gold. Due to this extreme winding essence gold's purity still not being the best, it would be approximately 100 million liang apiece when converted to gold. This was only 500 million, and add on the other messes, he actually could barely come up with 1 billion. However, the auction's owners simply did not value the other pieces of trash, so it was bought away like this by a great cultivator. Little sister, what does your child and mother-linked heart's needles need for its upgrade to 2-star? Su Xing asked Suwen. Turning his head, he discovered the girl had suddenly separated without a trace. Yan Yizhen was stunned, having also not seen this. Just as Su Xing was about to use Star Crest reaction, he suddenly saw Suwen run out from inside an alley, carrying an extra little girl upon her chest. Big brother. You, what is this? Su Xing looked at the little lowly in Suwen's embrace, 7 or 8 years of age, with pink hair. She had on an elaborate skirt, and she wore a bow and a red scarf. Pink and cute, she had a pair of large, innocent and shining eyes, as if she was a doll. She seems to have wandered away from her family. Little sister somewhat did not have the heart to leave her be. And Suwen said apologetically. Su Xing smiled. And Suwen's identity was the divine physician, one of a kindly disposition. For her to do this, Su Xing was not surprised at all. Little girl, what's your name? Su Xing slightly smiled and asked. I'm called Chai Sakura. 2. The little lowly blinked, a completely unguarded mentality. He feared a lollipop was enough to lure her away, and such a small girl not becoming lost was strange. Whoever her parents were, they truly were not careful. However, what made Su Xing curious was the words that the little lowly said, which unexpectedly was the language of cherry blossoms. It was basically the same as the Japanese language from Su Xing's previous world. Chai Sakura, not a bad name. What about your parents? Su Xing asked afterwards. And Suwen and Yan Yizhen showed shocked expressions. Big brother, you can understand the language of cherry blossoms? Su Xing naturally could. Hearing Su Xing's words, the little lowly happily spoke up, and Su Xing more or less understood her words. This little lowly named Chai Sakura came out with Aunt Manxiang. 3. However, that Manxiang woman truly was very irresponsible to let her go out first. Let's go back and help you look. Right, what does she look like? Su Xing asked. The little girl hugged Suwen, her hand brushing past her hair. Aunt Manxiang has pretty purple hair, very pretty eyes and is very gentle to Sakura-chan, and this place is very big, Chio Sakura buried her head into Ensuwen's bosom and rubbed with all her might, making Su Xing whisper, "Fuck." Ensuwen shot her a rebuking glance, slightly blushing, somewhat embarrassed as she looked at Su Xing's purple hair and a very big chest. Her traits actually were very easy to find. As Su Xing thought this, he walked into a remote pathway in the sea. The serene seawater slapped against the reef, and the sakura trees to the side shivered in the cold wind. "Master, watch out." Yen Yizhen suddenly tightly clenched her fists. The group stopped their march, and several shadows pounced towards them at high speed. Aunt Monxiang said they are bad people? Chai's Sakura showed fear. The newcomers were more than 10 in number, wearing a fierce and toothy devil mask that would frighten children. They wore black clothes, their hands holding double sabers and the like. "Ghost martial cultivators?" Ensuwen cried out in alarm. "So it turns out these are the Falling Blossoms Ghost Kingdom's renowned ghost martial cultivators?" Su Xing nodded. "Hand her over to us and nothing will happen to you here." A ghost martial cultivator wearing a red devil mask coldly spoke. Su Xing knew that lost little Lolas that randomly came from the road would always bring with them a string of troubles. "So many of you to capture one little girl. Are you still men?" Su Xing said. The ghost martial cultivators circled them, the edges of the saber glinting with a sharp light. "I will say it once more, hand her over to us and you may leave." The red ghost martial cultivator this time used his most extensive Chinese dialect to shout. "If we do not do this?" Yen Yizhen's vermilion eyes had a cold light. Su Xing did not even need to order the warm-hearted her, and she would not hand over a girl too weak to stand in the wind into the hands of a group of queer uncles. "Then die." The ghost martial cultivator dropped these words, and seemingly like an illusion, a deep darkness shrouded Su Xing and the group's surroundings. Starlight could not be seen and the seawater had disappeared. Even the traces of the vaguest shadows were unable to be grasped, an expanse of the most pure darkness. The legendary ghost martial cultivators would use every sort of ghost arts, and seeing it now, it was exceptional as expected. The sounds in the darkness gathered together, and 7-8 ghost martial cultivators rushed over. These ghost martial cultivators' training was natural, seemingly like a demon. Their strange body techniques and speed continually were what cultivators most dreaded. However, Su Xing remained unmoved. He closely used divine intent to protect Ensuwen so as to avoid any sneak attack mounted by these randomly appearing and disappearing ghost martial cultivators. And for the mission to slay these ghost martial cultivators, Yen Yizhen naturally accepted without the slightest hesitation. 2 chilly weapons slashed downwards, which Yen Yizhen avoided by tilting her body. Her body was wedged between their attacks such that even her hair found it hard to pass through the danger zone, seriously a hair's breadth. Yen Yizhen's bearing was skillful and dexterous. Easily straightening herself, she arrived between the 2 ghost martial cultivators, and her left and right hands simultaneously seized their weapon hands. Her fist technique split muscle and ground bone, and before they heard 2 cracks, the 2 ghost martial cultivators had let go of their weapons. The long sabers had not yet fallen to the ground. Yen Yizhen's next move was an attack. Her fists waved, and 1 cold and 1 warm meandering Pisces flashed on her hands in the darkness. The fantastic power made the 2 ghost martial cultivators' bodies involuntarily fly backwards at 90 degrees, violently into an additional 3 people, and the 5 of them bumped each other into a single jumbled mess. Completely not pursuing and attacking, at the time the weapons were practically fallen onto the ground, Yen Yizhen's 2 hands lifted high into the sky. She turned her body to block the pincer attack slash of the ghost martial cultivators' swift sabers, splashing sparks. The ghost martial cultivators of the Falling Blossoms Ghost Kingdom deserve to be described as the demons among demons. Regardless of cultivation or sword chant, they were all entirely different from the cultivators Su Xing had previously seen. Their cultivation methods were strange, inferior, and sinister. They practically moved towards a fatal area to attack, just like vipers in the darkness. Each and every attack was on the human body's weakest joints. Yen Yizhen felt 2 tremendous forces rolling towards her. Wielding sabers, there immediately was another attack. Within the darkness, sharp fireworks revealed a sight. A bone-chilling cold was threading together. Two ghost martial cultivator braved the yet-to-be-extinguished fires on their bodies, resisting the pain to fight for time, using courage to make up the difference in battle strength. They wanted to inhibit Yen Yizhen. Ghost kill magic circle. 5. They heard a sharp yelp. 5 ghost martial cultivators once again grabbed sabers and attacked. The cold light of the cutting edges instantly came over. What they were experts in were the most simple and straightforward, lethal blade kills. And this kind of style also made them possess even more excellent close-quarters killing experience. They trapped Yen Yizhen within, attempting to break through Yen Yizhen's defenses. It was just that the one they bumped into was the skillful star wanderer Yen Qing. To break through the girl's boxing defenses, 5 ghost martial cultivators were very far from enough. Chop off her arms and legs. A ghost cultivator grit his teeth and loudly roared. Falling Blossom's Martial Kingdom's ghost martial cultivators believed in demons among demons, always possessing a life pledge mentality. Although courage was worthy of respect, to think of defeating Yen Yizhen was a bit too pale. If they compared battle experience, the Yen Yizhen whose close-quarters boxing power among the Liangshan Maidens 108 stars was number 1 absolutely was entirely worthy of the title of tyrannical. She had not been trapped within the katanas for more than half a minute when her boxing became a mirage. Darkness was completely incapable of covering the girl's sense of sound. Raising a star energy that was seemingly nothing, she wrapped around and trapped the fierce sabers closing in from all directions. Yen Yizhen was calm and composed, forming a swirling cutting edge that was like a thread between her palms. Unconsciously, every time the saber light struck, Yen Yizhen concentrated on the cutting edge of her palms, which bit into the opponent's offensive, and the not at all incorporeal winding thread also slowly showed its purpose. Every ghost cultivator vaguely felt something was wrong. Their accustomed sword swing movements began to become heavy, a burden that was as if someone had tied a large stone to the tip of their blades. With every swing, this sort of uncomfortable feeling was even more clear. The muscles on their arm was bound more and more tightly. To maintain the swing speed of their blades, they needed to exhaust the strength of every inch of muscles up and down their whole body. It's star energy. Look out. The ghost martial cultivators were alarmed and promptly shouted. Yen Yizhen lifted her indifferent lips into a hook, and her figure glinted instantly. Between the ups and downs of her boxing, the cutting edge shot in all directions. The ghost martial cultivators spared no effort in howling loudly, yet they realized the heavy fetters pulled tight around their bodies immediately lightened greatly. An indescribable, uneasy light feeling. In a split second, she had firmly trapped all the ghost martial cultivators' hands. No matter how they struggled, they were incapable of breaking free from the pressure. Suddenly, it would disappear without a trace. They lost the burden, but they could not help but raise every katana high above their heads. Their 2 legs stood on tiptoe, as if their bodies were in a deep sea of decompression, where every part of their bodies was about to float up. Then an irrevocable crack appeared. The ghost martial cultivators opened their eyes wide and looked at the scene unfolding before them. Yen Yizhen had already set her palms, and a small, bloody hole sunk deeply into the stomachs of all the ghost martial cultivators, as if penetrated by the 5 fingers of a closed fist, but those 5 fingers easily broke through the ghost martial cultivators' defenses. It was just like the hearts under the bloody holes were ripped apart. Star General! At least, someone discovered this fact, but it was too late. The darkness was stripped away, revealing a resplendent starlight. Yen Yizhen drew back her hands, indifferent, as if nothing had ever happened. That devil mask of the red ghost martial cultivator appeared even more malevolent, the eyes beneath the mask issuing a cold light. Star General! The ghost martial cultivators present each retreated. Even if they were in the Falling Blossoms Ghost Kingdom, Star General's renown was like that of supernatural beings. Compared to these fiend stars, ghost martial cultivators' demon among demons appeared only so. Why would you Star Masters and Star Generals care about our Falling Blossoms Kingdom's affairs? The lead ghost martial cultivator voice sunk. Admirable people and exemplary deeds do not differentiate nationalities. Su Xing laughed. Do not think ghost martial cultivators' capabilities are just this. Today we will let you bury your corpses here. The red ghost martial cultivator shouted, and the remaining ghost martial cultivators read incantations. Their bodies turned into shadows, unexpectedly dissolving into the night. This time, Su Xing was no longer neglectful. The second wave of sneak attacks was just like a clump of approaching, pouncing ghostly shadows. What was different from his expectations was that the attack in the darkness was far from being as simple as he imagined. Nearly at the same time, the killers in the darkness simultaneously launched an attack against Su Xing, completely hidden within the dark. Even their breathing that seemed to disappear and cease to exist let them seemingly vanish. These illusory shadows became a method of confusion and the greatest concealed protection, and even during the attack, they had no traces. They entirely had reason to be convinced that under their combined assault, any enemy would absolutely be a dismembered body the next moment. The sound of the cutting edges slicing open the atmosphere filled the space. This time, a portion of the ghost martial cultivators wound around Yan Yizhen, and the rest of the ghost martial cultivators attacked Su Xing. They also knew that to kill a star general, they first of all had to kill the Star Master. Afterwards, the Star General could only let them slaughter her. It was just that they thoroughly underestimated Su Xing's capabilities. In a close-quarters battle between star cultivators, he definitely held an even more superior position. As far as the Su Xing that had neither sword chant nor top-notch artifacts and magic weapons was concerned, the current ghost martial cultivator's assault matched his expectations. Although he had completely lost the traces of their attacks and presences, relying on his battle instinct premonitions, his figure suddenly swiftly retreated. Just like that, he broke away from their assault and simultaneously threw out the Origin Heaven Wheel he had just obtained. The Origin Heaven Wheel swelled without warning. The gear revolved in ensuing surroundings, emitting a golden starlight, forming a tightly wrapped defense. It made the sneak-attacking ghost martial cultivators helplessly recoil backwards, and the other ghost martial cultivators did everything they could to pursue and attack. Each pitch-black weapon simultaneously emitted and took in black saber light, unexpectedly unleashing full power to kill Su Xing instantly by all means. Su Xing's finger moved, and an intertwined branch sword appeared in hand. This small sword's tip was threatening, cleaving at the screen of darkness. Under Su Xing's chanting, it suddenly plunged in. A shattering sound came from within the darkness, as did a moan, and cold floated over through the air. A ghost cultivator's brain had been penetrated by green light, and immediately afterwards, the green light arbitrarily wandered under Su Xing's will, and there was yet another long, blood-curdling scream. Several ghost martial cultivators successively entered the trailing dust. It's a magic weapon. The ghost martial cultivators were shocked. When he was controlling the intertwined branch sword to kill, Su Xing at this time also calmly went about this task unhurriedly amidst the chaos. Those extremely mighty cutting edges appeared to be incomparably slow before his eyes. The innate Bagua escape techniques wandered in the midst of several ghost martial cultivators, with a pattern to advance retreat, neither rushed nor slow. The ghost martial cultivators' seemingly swift and fierce attacks slipped past Su Xing's sides by a hair's breadth every time, always unable to connect. A fist raised a violent and strong gust, as if every movement possessed a kind of indescribable courage, seemingly spurring the entire space to rebellion. A ghost martial cultivator finally broke through, leaning forward on his flying sword, but what awaited him was Su Xing's nimble evasion and his deadly, heavy fist. His neck was very cleanly broken. Su Xing all of a sudden slowed his movements. Along with the progress of the battle, his fingers emitted a faint light ray of purple thunder, swaying back and forth as if carrying a heavy object. The arms of the ghost martial cultivators seemed to incessantly swing about. The group was very anxious, yet they did not have the slightest bit of wiggle room. Following the swaying of Su Xing's palms, they swayed along, as if they were having a nightmare. Suddenly, Su Xing's palms fiercely dropped, and the bodies of the ghost martial cultivators simultaneously shook. Poopiu, muffled echoes continuously sounded out in the air. Su Xing carried a cold smile on his face, and he leaned his body slightly to the side, his legs stepping in a mysterious pace. He leisurely strolled between and passed by them. His fingers slid past in the void, and the spiderweb-like purple thunder strings were scattered freely into the darkness. He abruptly tightened his 10 fingers, drew in his palms, and along with Su Xing's gestures, his 5 fingers shot out a net-like purple-colored thunderlight. These thunderlights wandered like electric snakes, and under Su Xing's control, they scattered in all directions, grabbing all of the ghost martial cultivators' bodies like sharp claws. Blooming water divine thunder blossomed in the night. All the ghost martial cultivators immediately lost their breath and fell onto the ground, having already met a violent end under the divine thunder. Divine thunder? The red-masked ghost martial cultivator shouted aloud, turning around to flee. How could Su Xing and Yan Yizhen let him go? At this time, a girl walked out from within an alley. Seeing from head-on the devil mask, she immediately was frightened. Not good, Su Xing thought. The red ghost martial cultivator's figure flit by, and the edge of his blade pressed against the side of the girl's neck. He laughed evilly. If you want to do a good deed, then fuck off. Otherwise, I will slit open her throat. The girl's complexion was deathly pale. Su Xing, please save me. How does she know me? Su Xing stared blankly. And Suwen and Yan Yizhen cast expressions of astonishment and doubt. When the ghost martial cultivator saw this, he was even more pleased with himself. So you know this person. This is even better. Hand that girl over to me, otherwise I will kill her. Who are you? Su Xing said. How could this woman be all boobs but no brains? What was she doing calling out his name at this time? The other had even thought they were rather close. I am Kong. My grandfather is the Taoist Song Jing. He called me to come find you. The girl's flowery expression lost its color. This time, Su Xing hesitated. What was it that this old man had nothing better to do than call for his own granddaughter to find him? Quickly hand her over to me, or else I will kill her. The ghost martial cultivator's blade edge already began to stir. What did this count as? Su Xing glanced at Chai's Sakura, then looked again at that Kong. He asked to make certain, are you truly the Taoist Song Jing's granddaughter? Fuck her, hurry and hand her over to me. The ghost martial cultivator angrily said. Su Xing secretly gathered a blooming water divine thunder, his mind rapidly devising countermeasures. It would be better to let Sakura-chan go with him in order to not hurt that big sister. Chai's Sakura shyly said. Forget that she was but 7 or 8 years old, her heart was contrarily and unexpectedly kind. When she said this, Su Xing was even more unwilling. His mind thought that since Suwen was here anyways, even if the throat was slit, she would not die. It would only hurt just that little bit. And Suwen suddenly shouted in surprise. Su Xing turned around to look and was immediately stupefied. He saw Chai's Sakura had closed her eyes, but her forehead had a purple gorgeous crest flash. As this crest circulated, a faint purple light floated. This was exactly the characteristic star crest after a Star Master and Star General signed. Star Master? When the ghost martial cultivator saw this, he abruptly threw Kong down and pounced towards Chai's Sakura. Just at this moment, a purple light lifted past his body, taking a woman for a hostage. Ghost martial cultivators are indeed the scum of society. A cold voice suddenly sounded. Bang! The ghost martial cultivator heavily fell onto the ground. The leg of a woman stepped on his body. She swung what was in her hand, beheading the ghost martial cultivator. This unforeseen event transpired in the blink of an eye. Su Xing was astonished as he looked at her arrival. Yan Yizhen clenched his fists, already completely guarding in front of Su Xing, Aunt Manxiang. When Chai's Sakura saw that woman, she drew back her lips in a smile. Aunt Manxiang? This was that nanny that set down the little girl without permission? Su Xing looked at her. This woman was even more capable and mature than he had imagined, with extremely gorgeous purple hair, a pair of amber eyes. When her brows creased, she was filled with a sharpness. When she smiled, she brimmed with maternal love. She was draped in a magnificent robe, and what was alluring was that she did not wear a bodice. She had just a red armor belly band, 5, as protection with her snow-white skin laid bare. Her slender thighs were covered with purple stockings and red shorts. Su Xing estimated that chest to be a 37D at the minimum, truly violently surging waves not just in name, but also in reality. Her whole body emitted a perfume-like fragrance, and that aroma floated 100 meters. 6. What made Su Xing sense in his mind was that purple star crest on the woman's forehead, which unexpectedly mutually reflected with Chai's Sakura's star general. This answer really made Su Xing too shocked, much more startled than when he originally saw the lowly and Shota combo of Bao Xiaoyu and Han Yu. The woman in front of him had a bold and powerful imposing air. The star weapon clutched in her hand was concealed in a sheet of wind, its form unable to be discerned, but judging from that sharp movement just now, her martial arts were considerably formidable. This leader ghost martial cultivator simply could not react. "You're a star general?" Su Xing asked. The woman raised the star weapon in her hand. Yan Yizhen and Ensuan completely did not hesitate to assume attack stances. "Aunt Manxiang, Big Brother Su Xing is a good person," Chai's Sakura hastily said. Manxiang hefted the weapon concealed by the wind. Su Xing heard before some star generals that did not want to expose their identities often would conceal their symbolic star weapons, but some would conceal with the effects of their tools, like Manxiang, who had forged the wind concealment divine stone, 7, into her weapon. This could hide the weapon's shape, and the edges of the wind could even make the weapon's attacks even sharper. However, it had a cost. In all other aspects, the star weapon would greatly lose power. But judging from the glittering stars in the wind, this star weapon was shockingly 2-star. "Thank you for just now." Manxiang's smile was very benevolent. "You are too careless, unexpectedly not concerned about your own star master?" Su Xing shook his head. "Furthermore, she is only this small." Only then did Su Xing remember to scout out her cultivation, which was Stardust late stage and awfully weak, as expected. However, for a star master at only Stardust late stage, this woman displayed such violence, so it seemed this was a powerful star general. Those ghost martial cultivators wanted to mount a sneak attack. "Your servant was careless." The woman's eyes had a trace of cold light. "What remuneration would you like?" "No need. Protecting such a cute little girl is a given. It's just that you had better somewhat prepare for the star duels in the future." Su Xing reminded her, honestly somewhat displeased she had dragged a 7, 8-year-old little girl into these cruel star duels. "Sakura-chan won't separate from Aunt Manxiang." Chai's Sakura puffed her cheeks. "Your servant naturally knows." Manxiang nodded. "Apologies for today's matters. Big brother, big sister, come to Kyoto in the future. Sakura-chan will take you along to play." Chai's Sakura blinked her adorable and big eyes. Su Xing nodded. Manxiang shook her head as she carried Chai's Sakura and leapt away. Even if it was with Chai's Sakura's entire face, the surging waves could not be covered. This was the first time Su Xing saw such a sexily dressed star general. This elder sister seems to have lots of motherly love. And Suwen piped up. "Her martial arts are very formidable," Yan Yizhen said. Su Xing put away his train of thought, and his gaze returned to the panicked girl, Kong. The girl was scared stupid where she was, having nearly died from fright just now. "You are called Kong, right? Whatever things happen in the future, calm down a bit," Su Xing asked. The girl continuously nodded her head. Recalling the purpose she came for, she took out 2 distinct items to hand over to Su Xing. One was a conical bullet, copper gold in color, and it seemed to be very ordinary. Father said that this bullet was found from within a ruin. Having been so long, it may perhaps be more useful when used with that thing of yours. There was also a work that was specially introduced, the forging of conical projectiles. Inside were recorded the forging of every type of conical bullets from ancient times to present. Although conical bullets were far from comparison to talismans, sometimes they could display usefulness at critical moments. Seeing that gun of Su Xing's required bullets, the Taoist Song Jing actually very generously gifted them to him. Please thank him for me. Su Xing smiled. And I shall leave now. Kong looked at the corpses everywhere and quickly departed, still somewhat panic-stricken. With this encounter, Su Xing did not revive his delight of Kagoshima Market Square's nightlife. He turned back his head and said to the two beauties, "Let's go back. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."